Hey y'all. Hold on. I'm late because I had to eat. My dad set that down now. Um, Today I want to talk about a dream I had last night because it just changed my life. And I feel like we need to talk about it. I had to get up and do some channeling. It's like I couldn't wait to get out the bed. Like I couldn't wait to get out the bed and jump up and channel about this. So I think I understand the world in a whole nother way. And so I wanted to hop on here and talk about it. But I had to eat first. And so I said I was going to be on here at 1 o'clock, and baby, it just didn't happen that way because big back, big back. So let's talk about it. So last night, y'all, I before I go to bed, what I've been doing, I have locks, y'all. Um, this has been since May, June, July, August. Really, it's only been 3.5 months, so I can't expect you to know that, girl, if you ain't seen me. But yeah, so what I've been doing, when I go to bed, before I go to bed, I talk to my oversoul because I'm always doing like oversoul work and stuff like that because that's what I'm basically here to do. So now, and I had a weird thing. I'm sorry, y'all. I had some cheese stuck to my tooth. But anyways, so let me slow myself down real quick. There's been a series of events that have been happening over these last couple of weeks, and they all basically came to a head yesterday. When I first started my platform, one thing that I used to do is I used to study a lot. I used to read about like higher consciousness and stuff like that. That's basically all I fucking did, right? Recently, I've been reading books, but I've been reading like fantasy books and stuff like that. And I tried to go back to studying the way that I used to study. And it's like my body is having a physical reaction to that. It don't work like that no more for me because I get it from the inside of me. I've embodied my oversoul. And so if I have a question, I got to ask me. I can't ask nobody outside of me, right? And so one thing that I've been doing before I go to sleep is I have been asking my oversoul what is trying to rise in my field that needs to be transmuted. What have I hidden from myself, right? The best conversations I've probably ever had with myself have been happening in my dream space because of me doing this little practice before I go to sleep, right? And so yesterday, my dream was chaotic as fuck. I mean, like, I don't even know what was happening. It was so many phrases that were being said to me, and some of them did not even make sense. But that's how you know that you entered into a multidimensional space, because you like hear stuff, like you hear phrases that they don't have context to them. And not all of them mean anything. It just means that you entered into the right place, right? A lot of our memory vaults and stuff like that are fractured. And so you'll get this overlaying that does not make sense. My dream last night did not make sense, but I remember two things from that dream that just stuck to me like smoke. The first thing is that somebody who I could not see in the dream, this is just somebody who said something, said that the Milky Way galaxy was fractured. And so I'm like, the Milky Way galaxy was fractured. I open my eyes and I'm like, right there, I'm like literally repeating it in my head over and over again. I'm like, Taja, you have to remember this. You have to remember this, right? And so I finally open my eyes. I write it down into my notepad, and then I close my eyes again. And I end up in this place where there's somebody who is across from me, and this person is helping me with my healing. I know that for a fact. But the way that they was behaving was kind of crazy. It was like when you see guides and stuff, or people from like other planetary systems, they have a very like childlike energy. Like they're very like goofy in a way. And so this person was like sitting down and they was talking to me, and they asked me a question. I have no recollection of what the question was whatsoever, but they asked me a question about relationships or something like that. And it was like, I responded to the question. When I responded to the question, they said, oh yeah, okay, so you need to heal betrayal. And I remember feeling in my body like, no, I need to heal heartbreak. And they looked at me, and I didn't say this out loud, but I'm saying to myself like, no, I need to heal heartbreak. And then they asked me the question again, and I responded again, and they said, no, you need to heal betrayal. And they like kicked their leg back or something like that. And so I'm like, what the fuck? So I wake up, I write down betrayal in my notebook. And I'm like, how do these two things come together? Because the dream was chaotic. I don't remember anything else from the dream, but these two things stuck out like huge. And so The thing about the betrayal, I knew what the context was in that, meaning like I know what energy was coming up while I was having that conversation, and it was about somebody that I used to be in a relationship with. And I say loosely use the word relationship. But we was in college, you know, that should explain it all, right? But me and this person dealt with each other for like 4 years, and they betrayed me around this time of year. And so every year in the last 5 years since I've been on my healing journey, this betrayal comes back up every single time. But the way that I'm experiencing it is not in the, I mean, it's in the betrayal energy, but I always suppress the betrayal part of this because I'm the type of person who I feel like everybody's looking for the same thing. Everybody wants the same thing, and they want genuine connection. If you find that with somebody else, I am okay with that. I'm happy for you, but don't drag me along in the fucking process. Communicate that to me so I don't have to go through the trauma, you know, of the aftermath of this, you know. And I feel like men don't understand that. They're just so fucking selfish, and they be on their own fucking agenda. And it's like, bitch, I would have been okay with you just communicating that this is what you fucking wanted and this is where you wanted to be, you know. And so I never looked at the betrayal part as heavy as I should have looked at the betrayal part, because I feel like, one, you found what you was looking for. I'm happy for you. You know, you should have just communicated that. The way you went about it is fucked up, right? The second part was, I'm glad I know, because then what if I would have went 10 years down the road and kept believing your lies? But the third part is I actually betrayed myself in that scenario, because I have been a medium my entire fucking life. Bitch, I'm getting dreams. I'm getting, you know, random people coming to me saying stuff that just trigger shit. I'm getting girls, like all kind of shit, you know? So it's like, I betrayed myself. How could I be mad at them at the betrayal? Because the betrayal was actually me, bitch. You did this, you know? And so I never looked at the betrayal heavy until this morning, when I was just like, what the fuck? No, you're right. The heartbreak is a byproduct of the fucking betrayal, you know? And so I'm like, well, what does the Milky Way galaxy have to do with this? All right, this is where we get into the shit, right? So if you've been a part of my Atlantis series, I talked about like the fall of Atlantis. I talked about the fall of Lemuria, the fall of Lyra, right? But I've never talked about the Severance. And to be honest, like I knew about this because I feel like other people who are working like esoteric knowledge or spiritual concepts, they always talk about this event, like where Earth was separated from all of the other, you know, planets and stuff in this galaxy that we're a part of. Everybody always talks about this, but I guess I just never clicked for me until this morning. Okay. So I wanted to get on here and talk about this because I want it in video form so that I can post this, you know, to my platform, of course. But I also want to understand why it's so important, the work that I do, why it's so fucking important, the work that I do, you know. And had I just stayed seeped into this energy that why does it have to be me, or, you know, playing small, we would never have these parts. And I want to encourage y'all to stop playing small too, because y'all got parts of this shit too. Okay. So let's talk about this. Do you have any major Mercury placements? My Mercury is in Venus. But I have a stellium in the third house, and the third house is ruled by communication. And so my whole existence is about figuring out how to communicate. Which I've done a lot of work on that. And so it was a struggle for me in the beginning parts of my life, but I've done a lot of work to help me to be able better to communicate, if that helps you at all. Hey, Lormo. So I'm like, what the fuck, you know, like what happened with the Milky Way being fractured, right? And so I talked about this in the video I just posted, but I want to go into deeper detail because it's all really connected. Everything that I have been discovering over this last month is really, really connected to everything. Okay. So the Severance was like a galactic fracture, you know, and we talked about, like I said, Lyra, Atlantis, Lemurian, them are civilization fractures. Those are harmonic fractures. This was a galactic level fracture, and everything else is just a byproduct of this thing, right? And so what happened is, it was a consequence. It wasn't a natural thing that happened or anything like that. It wasn't supposed to happen. I don't know what they were doing on a collective level at that time, or galactic level at that time, but there was a misuse of frequency. Okay. And this misuse of frequency caused a collective collapse of harmony, but it was only specific to the high density quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy. And if we're talking about density, density is separation, right? If something is very dense, it means it's like hard to get through. It's like running in water, running underneath water, right? Or running through mud, right? So high density is like everything is slow. Okay. In our reality, it's a high density reality. Everything is slow. And that's why we experience separation in time and space. And that's why we're operating at a polarity consciousness, because polarity consciousness allows everything to be separate, because the energy here is moving so slow. That's what it means to be a densely concentrated reality. Okay. In the densely concentrated side of the Milky Way, which is where Earth is. Okay. There was a collapse, a harmonic collapse. Okay. So it originated near the Orpheonic Corridor, which is an ancient portal way connecting Lyra, Arcturia, and Andromeda routes to inner harmonic spheres. Okay. So when the corridor was inverted through artificial grid manipulation, what most people call the Metatronic reversal, because Metatron's energy is distortion energy. Okay. So they called this the Metatronic reversal. And so there were these beings, or I don't know if these are polarity beings or what type of beings they were, but they basically inverted this corridor, which caused the collapse. Okay. It caused a disruption that occurred in the plasmic breath of the Milky Way. Okay. I talked about plasma in the live that I did on, was that Sunday? No, that was Thursday. I did a live on Thursday about plasma. Okay. Plasma is what moves across aether. Okay. So there was a disruption in this when there was grid manipulation that happened at this corridor point. Okay. This is why some memory holders or grid walkers, like people who are here incarnated, feel like this torn sensation. Is because you're feeling that tear in the galactic field. Okay. So what was lost in all of this, like in this fracture, what happened, because it didn't destroy anything. It like didn't destroy any star systems or anything like that. It just caused the collapse in harmonics. And harmonics is like the it's like the level of consciousness, you know, like harmonics is the level, like when you move up in consciousness, when you move up through your chakra system, each chakra is a different harmonic, right? And that's on the microcosm. That has to do with us, but Earth also has chakras. So Earth is also moving up in different harmonics. And then the universe that we're a part of is moving up in different harmonics. The multiverse is moving up in different harmonics. And as you go up more, you have more access to light, which is love and remembrance. So our universe is a universe of sound. Okay. Everything has to do with sound. So if you can understand music theory, you understand the universe. Okay. So what happened is it displaced the harmonics. Okay. And sacred codes that once wove together oversoul song lines across multiple soul systems were disconnected. So the flame bearers who are meant to embody oversouls were disconnected from their soul family. Okay. So you don't know where you come from, really, on a soul level. Okay. That's that. There was also a fragmentation in the memory vaults across star systems. So a lot of these memory vaults had to be relocated. Some of the places that they were relocated to was Earth. We have so many memory vaults on Earth. We have the Lyra Elf memory vault. We have the Akashic records. That's a memory vault as well. It actually is in Earth's plane. And we have several other just across Earth, underneath the Andes Mountains, underneath the Lake Titicaca, underneath the Azores, which is the volcanic underground situation, Antarctica, which is our womb vault, right? So a lot of these vaults had to be moved to Earth, Saturn, and Endara, which I talked about Endara a couple of episodes ago. There also was a splintering in oversoul embodiment paths. So many beings were caught in a reincarnation loop. We did not come to Earth as a school. Like, you know how we say Earth is a school? No, Earth is a school now because we're stuck in a reincarnation loop, and you have to learn from your past mistakes in order for you to get through this very, very low density that has been splintered or fractured from the higher density, right? You have to get out of polarity consciousness, one truth exists at one time, into higher consciousness in order for you to ascend out of the energy that's keeping you trapped in a loop, right? So because of the splintering of the oversoul embodiment paths, meaning like people don't understand that they're here to embody their oversoul, and so they stop doing the work that directly correlates with embodying the oversoul. we're stuck in an infinite reincarnation loop. Okay. Embodying your oversoul is you creating enough light in your body to channel down. Sorry, you're creating enough light, not light, space in your body for light to be channeled down into. Okay. If you channel too much light at one time, you become overstimulated. So people who have like schizophrenia or mental disorders or bipolar disorders, you are channeling a lot of energy and your body doesn't have room for it. And so it causes a fracturing. Sorry, my hair was in my mouth. I don't like that. It felt like a motherfucking bug was crawling on me. Hold up. Anyways. But it causes a fracturing in the mind because your vessel doesn't have enough space for all this light to come down into, right? And so you're experiencing multidimensionality when you're not ready, when you haven't anchored enough into your body or integrated enough into earth in order to be able to hold that light, right? It causes a fracturing. So, once you heal from the trauma of your line, once you heal this energy and move some of that stagnant dense energy out, then you create space for love and remembrance to come through. And so you need to understand emotional alchemy so you can continue to transmute this energy, because we have been here for so long and we have been stuck in this incarnation loop for so long. You're not only healing your soul lineage karma, because that's what happens with reincarnation. You carry the karma on to another cycle. You're not only clearing your soul lineage's karma, but you're also clearing your ancestral karma as well. And these two things used to be connected, but since we're in the realm of separation and our chakras had to be separated as well, you're experiencing them as two different things. Okay, so you got trauma that's going on from your womb, which is your lineage, your maternal lineage, but then you also have trauma that's going on from your soul, which is your star lineage, right? And so that happened, the reincarnation loop happened. But then you also had the inner sun cities and the crystalline temples, the inner earth schools. All of those went into a dimensional fold, meaning that they are hidden from us. We cannot see them, and we used to be able to see them with our mind's eye, but we can't see them at all. Okay, unless you reach a specific resonance. So more of the story is a dimensional veil dropped, and it wasn't just over the whole star system or one star system. It was across the entire harmonic resonance of Earth's quadrant. So Earth and all of her layers had this dimensional veil drop, which caused us to be severed. And that's why we've only been told half truths, meaning like we're the only thing that exists in this reality. We're the only thing that exists in this universe, et cetera, et cetera. That all comes from the memory that we were cut off, right? Because the dimensional veil made everything else disappear, right? Now we're split between, we only see the material, but we also have a spiritual component, but not everybody has access to the spiritual component, because not everybody holds enough remembrance or has enough space in their body to hold that light. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm glad I caught your live. I love your content. Oh, thanks, Lex. This maybe explain why those abandoned old world cities were vacant but not destroyed. So yeah. So the whole idea that we're the only thing that exists, there's no other beings outside of us. But then they tell us about aliens and stuff like that. There are no fucking aliens. We're the fucking aliens. But the reason why we're told that, thank you, boo. The reason why we're told that is because that's a half truth. That is actually rooted in truth. What they're filling into is the fact that we were cut off, that we were severed. Okay. But it's not the full truth. And that's why you understanding what we're going to talk about today is so important, because you need to reach higher levels of consciousness, because that's the only way for you to fully deepen your truth. And as you deepen your truth, you remember yourself, you remember everything. Okay. So this is still affecting us, because those of us who remember pre-Tara, which is Earth's two-dimensional body, pre-Lyra, which is the first harmonic civilization in the Milky Way, and other vaults, like the vault keepers of the original harmonic spirals, we remember this fracture not as history, but it's like a personal loss, like meaning like our body is grieving this. And we don't understand that our body is grieving something that is not of this incarnation. Like our body is grieving something that does not belong to this version of you. And so we still experience it as a personal loss. And that's why a lot of us, I think, when we incarnate, are sad and we don't understand why we're sad. I was sad. I did an inner child meditation. I went back to like the first version of myself that pulled up on me was 4-year-old me. And I was sad as fuck. my energy felt so, and I'm like, there's no way that this amount of sadness belongs to a 4-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So the moment when collective oversoul memory collapsed into separation, a lot of us are still replaying that when we come here, when we incarnate here. That's why we feel such an urgency to reunite timelines or hold, be mirrors to other people or merge these fragments. And some of us have been doing that for so many lifetimes that in this lifetime, we're tired, right? For me specifically, I've been doing this for 9 incarnations that I end up remembering and nobody else remembers with me. And so sometimes when people are asking me, I hate the responsibility of having to be the one. I also feel like sometimes when I'm asked questions that I feel like we're all supposed to understand, I don't realize that I am rare in that aspect. And so the little things feel like they're supposed to be common sense to me, but they're not common sense to everybody else because I just feel drained in saying the same thing because I've been saying the same thing for 9 incarnations. Does that make sense? Okay. So a lot of people are not remembering what was lost. We're carrying a part of the harmonic key to restore it. And because we carry a part of the harmonic key to restore it, the energy, the resonance of it exists inside of us. Okay. And some people that we come across in this lifetime and this timeline are meant to trigger that resonance in us so that we could feel it, so we can transmute it. But we don't understand what it is because we don't understand ourselves as a multidimensional being, right? I have a picture of me at 18 months. My face was next level pouty. You are literally speaking to my soul right now, period. I love that for y'all. I had to put the playback on 1,000, but I caught up. Okay, good, period. I hope I wasn't talking too fast, sister girl. But the reason why you feel this longing, this pain, this grief, this rage is because you carry a harmonic key, and that key can only be discovered through you being triggered into the resonance that the key is sitting underneath, which is grief, which is suffering, which is betrayal for some of us. Okay, so this relates to now because the severance disrupted the plasma river between inner earth and Lyra, which is the harmonic society. Okay, the higher harmonics. Okay, the crystalline. Ooh, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry, I just ate. That came from down under. The crystalline frequency exchange between womb planets, because Earth is a womb planet. Earth is divine feminine energy, and Earth, like I said, was not. It wasn't a school where you were supposed to come and learn. It's a school now because you need to unlearn your shit, right? From this lifetime and previous lifetimes, but it was originally created as a place for us to come and dream awake. We were supposed to be able to play with source codes, angelic codes, and also feel the frequency of those codes in separation, right? So we came here for sound. We came here for sound frequency and our senses, right? And higher dimensions or higher harmonics, we don't have senses in the way that we have in this reality. We don't feel things as deeply and intensely as we feel them in this reality, right? And so we wanted to understand everything at its densest component, and we can see it in separation in this reality, right? We get to have the full experience here. So this was like a virtual reality. Think of it like that. This was like a virtual reality, okay? And we got to play with source energy, source codes. So we were the creator, and Earth herself is a womb. That's why she's a water planet, but she's a womb, and the womb is where creation happens, right? And so she was the perfect climate for us to come into because she is the womb, and the womb is where creation happens. We are living in a womb. Earth is the womb. Okay. Now, I hope that makes sense. So Earth, Tara, Gaia, all of those are really the same energies, but at different levels within Earth's harmonics. But also we have sun systems as well. So they're inside of our planet. There are other suns. Okay. There are inner sun cities. Okay. So the crystalline frequency exchange between the womb planets was disrupted in this as well. Also, the galactic neural network that prophets, dreamwalkers, and flame stewards once used with ease, meaning all of us were prophets. Okay, all of us, well, the majority of us could walk through dream space, and we could, because being a dream walker is so important, because when you can walk through dream space, you can do soul retrieval. You heal people on a soul level if you can walk through dream spaces. But we lost our ability to do that. And a lot of us were flame stewards, meaning that we were supposed to witness other people. And through you witnessing other people, you meet yourself, right? Because everybody is a mirror. You meet yourself through witnessing other people. So we also came here to understand ourselves on a deep level so that we make sure that we choose ourselves. And that's why philosophers say know thyself is the most important thing you can do is know thyself, right? Because when you know yourself, you see it reflected in other people, it causes you to love who you are, right? Because you really chose it, but it causes you to love who you are. It causes you to appreciate the choices that you've made. It causes you to enter into, when you looking at it from a higher vibration, from a non-judgmental place, because you realize if you made those choices that that person made, that's where you would be, you know? So in addition to that, mirror codes and flame lineages, but as the mirror codes and flame lineages reunite, the harmonic resonance is reforming, meaning like right now there's a reformation that's happening. And that's why I keep coming on here and talk. Every time I get one of these hits, one of these inklings, one of these whatever the fucks, I'm on here talking fast like a maniac. Okay. Understand this is not a manic episode. I just am extremely excited because I've been trying to figure this out my whole fucking life of what it is. And I need y'all to figure it out too. So we're going to figure it out together. Okay. Now, if you are going through, if you're being reformed right now, these are some of the things that you'll see. You might feel a deep urge to sit with your oversoul, which is what I've been doing every single night. I light a candle, I sit with my oversoul, and I say, whatever you need to tell me right now, right? You may have dreams of reunification or martyr energy, which I had a dream the other night, y'all, that we was in a parking lot, me, my mama, and my brother, right? We in a parking lot, this dude comes up to us, he tries to rob us. Right. My brother punches the dude. The dude punched my brother back. But when he punched my brother back, my brother was looking into a mirror. I don't even fucking understand what that was about. My mama gets the boom boom cat. She puts it to the dude. He pulls his boom boom cat. She shoots him in the right eye. Right. Which is masculine programming, by the way. She shoots him in the right eye and she jumps in the car. She's like, drive. So I start driving the car and I hit the motherfucking gas quick. Right. She hanging out the car and he's running behind her shooting at the car. And she's like, just leave me behind. It's okay. Save yourselves. And I stopped the car in the middle of us getting shot at to try to get her in the car. Took a different path, but we're getting shot at, like actively getting shot at. And Spirit was telling me when I woke up, because I was channeling about that. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I have been repeating a martyr. I've been repeating a martyrdom, which a lot of us are repeating this. And I'm going to talk about this in deep detail in just a second. But I have constantly been repeating a martyr archetype, meaning that in several lifetimes I have sacrificed myself or I have been unalived for saving someone else, meaning like put my life on the line for like other people. And the first time that this happened was pre-earth, and I like fractured myself into multiple pieces to hold the gate open for other people. And I've sacrificed myself. I've literally been unalived in the process of saving people in every single lifetime, right? And so this is what this dream was bringing up for me, okay? So that's what I mean when I say you have dreams of reunification or martyrdom. You feel energy recalling itself from distant times and lives as well. This is your remembrance response to the call of harmonic repair, okay? I had a past life version of myself come through twice, 2 nights in a row. Her name is Ivy. I've taken on the energy of Ivy Wynn, IVN, and it's another Ivy name. In 3 lifetimes, right? And so she came through and she was brushing my locks and she was clearing my crown. Right? I suppose it's not the worst trait, but you have a big heart. Thank you. It's not the worst trait, but I've always watched them superhero movies where you got the person who always sacrificed themselves for the whole group and they end up dying and everybody's crying and I always feel some type of way about that. And it's because my dumb ass has been the person. And it's crazy because even in watching shit like that, I know that would be me. Like, I know that would be me. And so to hear that I got to heal that in this lifetime, I'm like, how could I? Because I could not. My whole life, I've tried to save everybody. I tried to carry everybody's weight on my back. It almost killed me. This is the first lifetime where I actually just chose myself. Because I thought if I didn't, I was not going to survive it. And that's why my whole platform is built off me being a fucking martyr and me trying to unpack that. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. Now, I told y'all about the part of the dream where they was telling me betrayal is what I need to heal, right? And the first thing that comes up is this ex, right? This ex that betrayed that motherfucker. I owe that motherfucker. But anyways, he betrayed me, right? And every single year around the same time, around September, when the betrayal happened, I feel the weight of that betrayal because it leaves an imprint in your field, whether you know this or not. When life-changing things happen, right? Meaning like you make a vow, you say something to yourself like, I'm never gonna love somebody like that again. I'm never gonna da da da. When you make a declaration like that, you are placing an imprint on your field, right? And even though your mind might forget, your body don't forget. And that's why sometimes, like when let me give you an extreme example. When somebody passes away, say it's been 10 years and you kind of forget until one day you just feeling crazy and you just feeling like sad that day and you don't know why. And then you look at the date and you're like, oh, it's the day that my papa died 10 years ago. It's because you have an imprint on your field, right? And some people are meant to come into our life to trigger those imprints. But sometimes we place them on our life when we go through something like betrayal or heartbreak or something like that. So when this person broke my fucking heart and betrayed me, I placed the imprint on my field that said I would never let anybody that close to me again. I would never love at that capacity again. And so every September, around the time that betrayal happened, this imprint activates to be like, yeah, bitch, you need to look at this, right? You need to look at this because you can't care, you can't keep carrying that, right? So I hope that makes sense of how that works, right? So when I asked last night, because I asked, what am I hiding from myself? What needs to be healed? What needs to be transmuted? Right. And I went to sleep and this person was like, oh, then it's betrayal. And I'm like, no, it's heartbreaking. They're like, no, it's betrayal. Right. Understand, this is not punishment. The whole fact of every time the time of year it comes back around, that's not punishment. It's precision. It's precision. Okay. You have to refine. Your whole life is about refining. Okay. So what you got to understand about betrayal is not just an emotional pain. That specific betrayal, grief, rage, those are not just emotional pains. Okay. They're not. Those are multi-dimensional soul imprints. Those specific grief, rage, betrayal, multi-dimensional soul imprints woven into your most significant timelines. Okay. These are going to be timelines where you were either a flame steward who was outcasted for telling the truth. I told you I did a flame lineage reading for one of my clients, and she was somebody who remembered in one of these timelines. I think it was 2 timelines ago. She remembered. And what she was trying to do is teach people on the low, right? Her mother and her boyfriend or her husband betrayed her. And they sold her out to the townspeople. She was shamed and she was exiled because I think it was like some type of religious energy around this. And I think she started remembering something else. It was not a time where people were remembering that. You know, it was a time where you would be outcast, where you would be shamed, where you would be all of the things because of your belief systems. And so she was trying to teach people on the low, and she started basically having like a little crowd. And she like, it was like whatever it was underground, and it was like chairs, like, but the chairs were more like benches, right? And it was like a bunch of people sitting around, and she would be up there like basically teaching them what it is that she could remember and stuff like that. Her mom and her boyfriend sold her out. She got exiled from her town, and she felt so much shame that she hung herself. But before she hung herself, she said, I will never love that deeply again. And in this lifetime, she has a lot of mirror energy because she refuses to see herself, because she doesn't want to be met. She doesn't want to be seen. She wants to be invisible, and she just wants to reflect other people. Right. And so I think that's what happens to a lot of us who experience trauma, is that it's easier to judge somebody else's situation than it is to look at yourself. Right. And so she has all this protective energy. So in the timelines that you were outcast for telling the truth, you are going to feel, if you're feeling betrayal, it is likely something like that happened. Okay. Also, you could be a guardian who protected the vaults while others defected or distorted, meaning that when Atlantis was falling, I stayed behind in the distortion. A lot of higher beings left. Okay, they fled, they withdrew, and this wasn't a cowardly thing. This was like, I protect specific energies, I need to go type of thing, right? So I decided to stay behind. Okay. When I decided to stay behind, I watched everybody fall into distortion and all of these things, and it broke my heart. I dealt with so much grief and so much pain because it was people that I loved. I watched them turn towards distortion. I watched them abandon themselves. I watched them fraction from what was divine love, right? They went into separation, and that's ego energy, control, manipulation, domination. And we were a society that was about divine union. We were a society where everybody had a function. There was no competition or no comparison or no shit like that. Everybody had a role, and we respected everybody's role, but when distortion hit, people started trying to dominate, and, watching people that you love fall into distortion. Like I had to witness that because I was trying to hold the memory. I had to be around to be a record keeper so I can properly put the memory into the memory vaults. Some of us did that. And I did that in 3 different lifetimes. Okay. Some of us have did that. So we're feeling the betrayal of that. Okay. And then also because a lot of our people sold us out. Like for me, one of the last memories I have of Amara, which is my oversoul, is that she was in one of her chambers, in the violet chamber, and it was like, I remember the whole room was violet because there was like a violet crystal in this room. And I took the core flame crystal from our core flame crystal, and I strategically dispersed it into 144,000 pieces, and I swallowed it. I put it into the flame bearers, who are going to remember, a lot of y'all, right? As I was doing that, I remember feeling so betrayed and so hurt and so much pain. And it was because people that I trusted, the reason why they were able to breach my temple is because somebody I trusted gave them something that allowed them to do that. And they were trying to help, but it did not fucking help. My temple fell because of that bullshit. And they thought they was doing the right motherfucking thing. And they fucked everything up. And so I remember that as well as betrayal, because your betrayal fucking cost the lives and the livelihood of my girls, right? Also mirror bearers who witness those you loved align with distortion to survive, all of those things, okay? So yes, the whole situation with my ex, it's not about the man, and it's not about this lifetime, okay? Fuck the man, fuck the lifetime, take the person, like take the person out of it, okay? He is a holographic trigger that is designed to reawaken my original betrayal wounds, because he puts me in the resonance of betrayal because of what that motherfucker did. As you can see, I have not transmuted this betrayal, and that is what I'm going to do after we are done with this conversation. Okay. But the heartbreak, yes, it is real, but the pattern that it stirs up, that's ancient. That's ancient. Okay. Anytime you're experiencing betrayal, grief, rage, ancient. What's underneath it? You need to sit with it. You need to alchemize it. Focus on the energy of betrayal and not the event that caused the betrayal. Okay. The betrayal frequency is a mirror key. Okay. And what this activates is the fragmentation pattern in your soul loom. Okay. Your soul loom is a crystalline nervous system. Okay. You are material. Your material nervous systems are the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Your spiritual nervous system is a crystalline web. And this crystalline web is what is like a soul. The soul loom is what moves across this crystalline web. Okay. So what this betrayal activates in this lifetime is the fragmentation pattern in your soul loom, because your body remembers. Your body is 90% of who you are. Your mind is 10% of who you are. Your mind is the barrier that you have to get through in order to get to the 90%. In order for you to remember, you've got to learn how to master your mind. We live in a society that conditions us towards figuring everything out and exhausting our mind. Okay. Which means you got to slow down, but I'm going to explain that when I talk about time. Okay. Because that's tea. All right. So when you suppress the pain of betrayal, you unconsciously pull your light away from Earth's field, your connection to Earth, to protect yourself. Okay. When you suppress betrayal, you pull your energy away from Earth's field to protect yourself. Now, I did on Thursday a live about Earth and how Earth is where the magic is. The energy is all you. Earth reminds you that you are the magic. But you got to be connected. You got to be connected. Okay. In order for it to work. Okay. So betrayal itself severs your connection to Earth. Okay. Which is fucked up. All right. So the martyr distortion, which is sacrificing yourself for other people, prioritizing other people's well-being over your own self-abandonment, self-betrayal, right? That when you sacrifice your own truth or love for the sake of other people's safety or comfort, there's also, so the martyr womb comes from the betrayal womb. Okay. Let me explain that to y'all. If you ever been through trauma, right? If you ever been through any type of trauma, what tends to happen is one or two things. One, you either gonna hurt other people. You're gonna enact that trauma on other people because you want other people to feel the way that you felt, right? Or out of protection of yourself, you say, you know what? If it ain't me, if it ain't them, it's gonna be me, right? And so I might as well get them before they get me, right? That's one. On the other end, you're not going to want people to feel the same pain that you felt. And so you're going to try to protect other people from that pain. One is protecting themselves from that pain. The other is protecting other people from that pain. That's the martyr wound. Okay, when you decide that you're going to protect other people from that pain, because that's not your motherfucking job. Okay, and so what happens, you end up sacrificing yourself for other people, your comfort for other people, because you're trying to make sure that they don't have to experience what you experience, but you abandon yourself in the process of doing that. Okay, because now you're not speaking your truth, even when they need to hear it. Okay, now you pouring, that self-love is not there because you're too busy pouring into an empty vault. You're trying to fix other people, save other people, heal other people. Okay, there's also a mirror wound that comes from betrayal as well, which is believing that your value is contingent upon your ability to believing your value depends on others' ability to reflect you accurately. Okay, remember I said in that previous life that I had that client who her family and everybody betrayed her. She felt so much shame. She got exiled. She felt so much shame. She hung herself, right? In this lifetime, her 3 primary flame lineages are all mirror lineages. Crystalline, opal, and opal is multidimensional mirroring. Crystalline and a mirror flame. Okay, she's 3 mirror flames in this lifetime. Why? Because she was significantly betrayed in the last one. Okay, believing your value depends on other people's ability to reflect you accurately. Mirror flame wound. Okay, meaning you need external validation. You need somebody outside of you to say, yes, good job, pat on the back, you did great. You don't see your worth. You need somebody else to see it first before you could see it. Betrayal wound. Okay, so when you're being asked to feel betrayal, you're being asked not to just feel the pain again, but to recode your reaction to the betrayal. Not with blame or shutdown. You don't want to point the finger, but sovereign flame, step back into your integrity, right? Because what happens when you experience a betrayal? You say, I ain't never doing that again. And so it changes the way that you show up to other people because you think that it was a problem with the way that you showed up in that situation instead of just realizing, no, that's a shitty person. That's a selfish person. You don't rob other people of experiencing you in your fullness just because you were hurt. That's what it means to step back into your sovereignty, your integrity as a person. You compromise your integrity because you don't want to be hurt again, right? So you say, I'm not going to love as deeply. I'm not going to show other people that vulnerable part of me. I'm going to keep that hidden. I'm going to keep that to myself. You disconnect yourself from Earth's frequency. You sometimes take on the role of the martyr. Sometimes you need other people to validate your worth because you don't see it anymore, right? You internalize that you're the fucking problem and you change how you show up. You got to go into those next situations understanding that if you choose to love, you choose to feel pain. You know what I'm saying? If you choose to love, because we're in polarity, you choose to feel pain, which means that's just a part of the fucking game. You don't have to internalize that there was something wrong with you because somebody else couldn't see your fucking value. You know, you got to reset the scales. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, with this specific situation, y'all, the last 3 years, as I've been trying to alchemize this betrayal, what I also feel, and we got to talk about this, and this is kind of embarrassing. I mean, no, embarrassment is something you choose. It's not embarrassing, but it's just like, bitch, I don't know how to tell people that. But another thing that has been happening in that energy or around this time when that person's energy comes back is this surge of sexual energy. Okay. Insane surge of sexual energy. Okay. Now, mind you, he had it going on, but it's not even about him though. And that's why we got to talk about this, because I feel like that surge of sexual energy is what will have you on the motherfucking main line calling that person trying to see what's going on over there. Okay, I don't need you to do that. It's not a signal for you to betray yourself. It's a signal for you to turn inwards. Okay, don't get that person on the main line trying to go do the horizontal mambo. That's not what that energy is for. Okay, so the surge of sexual energy, it's not a distraction. It's actually a signal of reclamation. Okay, sexual energy is your creative plasma. This is your oversoul current, your sacred energy coming back online. And it's beginning to rise again. So when betrayal is stored in your field, When your sexual energy starts to rise, it's going to trigger the locks, meaning what is blocking your sacred energy is going to be triggered when that energy starts to rise. Okay. So around this time in September, when the event happens, but also when we're about to enter into the feminine cycle, okay, I get a surge of an intense amount of sexual energy, which is creative energy, emotional energy. I have an emotional blockage. So when this energy surges, that memory keeps coming up because it's a lock system. And so like an alarm starts going off in my nervous system, in my soul loom, and in my lower chakras that say, hold the fuck up. Okay. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? So your oversoul allowed the energy to rise and then surfaced the lock, which is the X, so you could see where your blocks are. So you could see where your blocks are that you could not see before. Okay. So understand, you're not doomed to repeat the martyrdom. You're not doomed to repeat the heartbreak, but to complete this healing, you have to reclaim first. Okay. So your mirror, choose to see yourself clearly, even when other people don't. You have to reclaim your mirror, your voice. Speak your truth of what you know, even when it hurts, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's going to ruffle somebody's fucking feathers. This month, I don't know what it was, but I kept getting the message from Spirit that I need to speak my truth, even when it's inconvenient. If somebody is affected by you speaking truth, that's their fucking problem. We have, as a society, chosen to suppress out of protection of shitty fucking people. If my truth hurts you, it's because you refuse to see yourself. It's not, I'm not the enemy. You just don't want to see you. And when I reflect back to you, it pisses you off. You don't like it. I didn't like it either. Right? So your frequency, you need to not dim your light to protect other people from feeling shame. You know, one thing that happens around me, and I cannot stand this because I ain't no hating ass bitch. Okay. One thing that be happening around me is that if I come into a space, right, and somebody start, oh, Taja, I love your content, da, 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 da. How do you know so much, bro? And we get kicking the shit. Certain people will try to either shut me down and be like, oh no, we're not doing that. We drinking that. That's too serious, da, 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 right? Or they'll try to prove their intelligence through me. One thing you got to understand about if somebody thinks that you're better at them as something, right? Or in my instance, more intelligent than them, it triggers their amygdala. And amygdala is where your fear is stored. And because they fear of incompetence, right? When it comes to me, it's incompetence. Because they fear of that thing and they don't want to be perceived as incompetent, they start perceiving you as a threat. Okay. And they either try to dim you, bring you down, humble you, right? Or they're going to try to prove you to be wrong so that they could be right. It's an ego thing, right? And so they start perceiving you as a threat. Do not dim yourself just because they don't have the capacity to receive you where you are. Do not dim yourself to protect them from feeling uncomfortable. And especially the people who you grew up with, right? Because a lot of times at one point they thought y'all was equal. Y'all came from the same thing. You doing all this good shit. They ain't doing nothing. Now they comparing themselves to you and they saying, well, bitch, you moving too motherfucking fast. You need to come back down here. You make me look bad. I didn't even know we was in a competition. Now you think you're better than us. Before it was you ain't shit. Now you think you better than us. Do not dim yourself to make other people feel comfortable. Fuck them people. Our society is so emotionally fragile. That's an ego identity issue. It's not your issue to fix. Allow them to witness you in your fullness, because there's so many of us who hold all this light and we go around trying to fit into these containers that don't have the capacity to hold us. These hands that don't have the capacity to hold us. And so we have to become smaller to fit into this environment. Go where you're received. Go where you're received. Okay? Yeah, I know I'll be starting to preach, so I have to dial it back real quick because I will be in a whole sermon over here. Right? Okay. So, what we got to understand about emotions, right? This will be on YouTube, Inna. This will be on YouTube. Everything that I always do on live is always on YouTube, y'all. All right. So, hold on. Let me see what some of y'all are saying in the comments real quick because I don't want to ignore y'all. I can relate. I have strong issues about protecting the people, society. Okay, period. I would love to go over where I live on Earth in circumstances I lived under on my past life. Yeah, so y'all, I do flame lineage readings. Those are available on my website, www.bigtajj.com. If you want to know what your oversoul function is, what energy you carry, what your primary lineages is, which is your soul language, and then also your karmic overlays and stuff, which is your secondary. You can have up to 12 of those, 12 plus of those. Which comes from past lives that you need to clear and shit like that. I do flame lineage readings and oversoul embodiment coaching. I think I offer 3 tiers. The first tier is I just tell you what your main one is. The second tier is I tell you what all of your primary, your secondary, your oversoul tone, but I just give you an integration package for you to alchemize that yourself. And then the third tier is actual coaching, where we go through it all together. I tell you how it's all connected. I tell you which order to do your healing in. I give you journal prompts, rituals, affirmations, and then I coach you through for over a month. We have 3 2-hour sessions talking about this, sometimes up to 3 hours. And I tell you how exactly what you need to do, and then you go off and do it by yourself. And if you need a follow-up, you just let me know, but you get access to a chat with me and stuff like that. Okay, that's on my website. So let's talk about feelings real quick. Wow, well and truly need this. I can't thank you enough. Really appreciate you. You're welcome, my love. All right, y'all are welcome. So let's talk about feelings, because I seen a video the other day of this therapist, right? And there's a Black woman, and I love us, but sometimes we just don't be seeing the full, like, nope. We ain't saying that. We ain't saying that. I don't mean that. We're all at different truth levels, okay? We're all at different levels of consciousness, okay? The therapist was saying, and it had so many likes, she was saying, feelings are not facts. Feelings are not facts, is what she said in the video. That unearthed me, that bothered me. And I feel like that's a part of what this message that's been coming through this week is, because if you don't understand your feelings, you don't understand that feelings add depth to your experience. Feelings are information. Feelings are multidimensional keys, right? Multidimensional memories are feelings. You're going to dismiss your feelings. I think if you say feelings are not facts, you're teaching people to be emotionally avoidant. And then we're right back in the emotional fragility energy of this society. I don't like that for us. And for you to be a therapist, that pissed me off, because I try to save everybody, as we've discovered. Okay? Your feelings, they're not just fleeting emotional experiences. They're encoded carriers of multidimensional memory that unlocks timelines, contracts, soul fragments, and even cosmic architecture that was embedded into your oversoul. They are literally the keys that unlock the doors to yourself. Hey, Jazz. Okay? They're the keys that unlock the doors to yourself. We live in a society that tells men that if they feel, they're weak. And they tell women that if they feel, they're sensitive. So nobody wants to feel. And then we get therapists who are in this environment who come forward and say, well, feelings are not facts. You can't base anything off of feeling, which is pushing you towards your mind. Your mind is 10% of who you are. Feeling is the language of your soul. That is the only way for your soul to communicate to you, is through feeling. So it's actually fucking insane to say something like that. But that is true for her where she is in polarity consciousness. So I can't say that you're wrong, because you're right for you. But to teach other people that, but then they tell that, they put these people who because you got to think about school. You got to think about school, and all of the systems are designed to pull you away from yourself. So these people are just doing their job based off of what society told them to do. So they think they are expert in what they're fucking doing, right? One thing that I realized today is that people who do stuff that's against us think that they're doing the right thing. Everybody thinks that they're doing the right thing. The Republicans, the Democrats, everybody thinks that they're doing the right thing. I can't tell you how many therapist friends I have who need therapy, who need therapy, and they're just re-pushing the propaganda. Oh, it makes me want to scream. You don't understand. It makes me want to fucking scream. Okay. But not everybody has done enough of their own work to reach the level of consciousness that I've reached and some other people have reached, right? Because I even see people in the spiritual space, gifted seers, doing the same thing connected to the wrong things. Or I ain't gonna say the wrong things, but false light systems. Okay? False light systems. Okay? So let's talk about feelings as multidimensional carriers. Because if I stay on that topic, I'll be there forever. Y'all don't understand. My frustration runs deep. It runs so deep. Okay? Every time that you feel something intensely, love, betrayal, rage, grief, longing, you are actually activating a harmonic frequency within your soul womb. Okay? That frequency holds your present life context. Okay? So the things that have happened in your present life, they hold that. Past life origin memory. So the things that happened in your previous life, whether you were abandoned, you were exiled, you were silenced. Okay? Oversoul mission, distortion, or mission. Okay, it holds both of them. The distortion that happened at an oversoul level, but also the mission of the oversoul level. And this could be lessons or vows that are carried across dimensions. Like, I'm never going to love like that again. That's a vow that you make, and you don't understand. You seal that, because we didn't used to speak with our voice, right? Because when you speak with your voice, these is light codes. Your voice is a wand. You are commanding something. You know how they say, spell casting, spelling, you're casting. Every time you open your mouth, you casting. That's why they once tried to make English the language for everywhere, because it's a cursed language. So you got to be careful what the fuck comes out of your mouth, because when you say, I am never going to do this again, I'm never, and blah, 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 you speak that over yourself. And when you speak something over yourself, what you're doing is you putting an imprint on your field that you are now going to have to transmute later, because you chose to compromise yourself or fall out of integrity because you're trying to protect yourself from some hurt that somebody's dusty ass motherfucking son or daughter done caused. Okay? But the most important thing is it's a plasma key. Okay, that opens or closes access to higher states of consciousness. The goal in this environment, everybody's goal, is to reach an expanded state of awareness, which means you need to move up in consciousness levels. And as you move up in consciousness levels, your truth deepens. And that's why they say you spiraling, right? You're not linear, which we're going to talk about that, because we're going to talk about Chronos versus Kairos. Because we're supposed to be in Kairos and we're in Chronos when it comes to time and space and things like that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But you're spiraling, right? And time is not linear. Us thinking that time is linear is part of the problem, but you're spiraling. So think of it like a staircase. Every time you come to this point in the staircase, you can look down and you can see all the other points that you have been at, right? That's how consciousness works. Every time you get up a higher level, you can still see the other things that got you here, but now you're looking at it from a higher perspective. Okay? So they're plasma keys. Now, when a deep emotion arises like heartbreak or betrayal, it's not just about the person. That is your oversoul saying you are now ready to retrieve the memory you fragmented in this exact resonance a long time ago. A long time ago. Okay? So, if you try to skip, override, suppress this feeling, you lock the access point again. You are choosing to lock what has been unlocked for you to receive. You have locked it again because you're terrified of feeling the feeling or what that's going to bring up. That's why shadow work is so important. So important. Okay. And that is where many star beings and healers lose momentum, because we're too afraid to feel. We chase knowledge. This is what we do instead. We try to go from the mental, right? We chase knowledge, upgrades, timelines, and avoid the pain of the body, which is where the actual soul fragment is buried. Okay? Understand what oversoul embodiment is. You were meant to bring your God self in this reality, but the body, or the lineage that you had to come through, the body you had to come through, your mother's body, okay, holds trauma. You had to come through her womb. Her womb holds trauma. The womb that you possess, because you have 3 wombs, by the way, all of you, male and female, 3 wombs, okay? When you come through the womb of your mother, whatever she has not healed, that ancestral lineage trauma is going to be impressed on you. But it's not just her, because we know that her eggs existed in her mama, right? And in her mama's eggs, her eggs existed in her mama, right? While her mama was in her mama's womb. So now you got 3 generations of women's trauma that you're going to have to alchemize. Oh, think about that. Think about your mama, your grandma, and your granny. Think about the patterns they got going on. Yeah, that's all yours to carry, baby. That's all yours. That's all yours. Isn't it lovely? No, it fucking sucks. And a lot of us star beings choose very dense lineages, meaning trauma-filled lineages, because if we could just clear this one lineage, it sends a ripple effects through the consciousness. So most of us choose these family lineages, and it's not because that they are our soul family. No, it's because we have to go in to this dense reality to alchemize this energy for the collective. Sometimes it's not even about them. Sometimes they don't even fucking matter. They have codes in their ancestral lines that we need to unbury, meaning in order for the lineages to be cleared behind and forward, one of us has to choose to do the fucking work. And so we come in to do the work, but because we're not taught this, a lot of us go into those environments and we think this shit is punishment. We think it's punishment. No, you have everything that you need to do this work. You are the right person to do this work. You came here to do this work. It's just that society does not support you in that. I support you in that, friend. I support you in that. Okay, but society's not going to support you in that. So that means you got to go against the grain. You got to go against the programming. You think you're better than the program? You are. You are better than the programming. Right? You got to go against the programming. Because the way that they're doing it, look at society, look around you. This is the reality of the phenomenon. This is the reality of effects. You know, I always say this. It's like you looking in a mirror, you see something on your face and you go to wipe the mirror. You can't fix nothing in this reality by trying to fix something in this reality. You have to fix it from the inside. You got to clear your actual face and not the fucking mirror. This reality is the mirror. So all you do is got to look around because everything is there. It's all there, friend. Study your family and what they're going through. Study yourself and how it shows up in you. The feeling is the doorway. Your neutral presence, meaning you're not judging it. Because if you're judging something, only one truth exists, right? You want to be at the neutral point, okay? Your heart space is the neutral point in your body. Between your womb and your mind, your heart is the neutral place. It actually creates the electromagnetic field that's going around your body. Okay? The neutral place. What they telling you in the Bible. You got God, you got devil, and you got Jesus. And Jesus is telling you to be like him. He's not above sin. He's actually the balance point between these two energies. The neutral point. 0 point energy, if we're going to talk science. The neutral point. What it means when you embody neutrality is all this chaos is happening around you and you've created your garden of Eden in the middle of the chaos. You're not unearthed by all the shit that's happening around you because you're standing in your integrity. And you know, whatever environment you're in, you're going to be okay. The neutral point is balance. That don't mean toxic positivity or toxic negativity. Because you need to be balanced in the middle. Some days you choose positive, some days you choose negative, but you choose positive more than you choose negative. That's balance. Some days you take the high road, the next day you drag them to hell, if that's what you want to do. But it's about balance. It's the neutral point. Why? Because you are the neutral point between spirit and matter. You are the seen and the unseen. You're spirit and matter. You're the neutral point. And you were never here. You did not come here to become something. You came here to stand in your neutrality so you can stand in your original frequency, because the frequency that you hold affects 17,000 other people. You stand in your original frequency and you just witness. You witness from neutrality. You do not judge. Everything is a mirror. Everything is happening as it is. I cannot control everything. You witness from the neutral point. Okay. So neutral presence, meaning that doesn't mean you don't feel, because you still need to be present. Okay. You still need to be present, but it does not require hypervigilance and you focusing on the future. And it does not require you focusing on the past. Right. So neutral presence is the key, because that's the only way you survive this reality. Neutrality. Okay. Compassion is what unlocks the frequency. Compassion does not mean you have to jump in and fix anything. Compassion is presence and having understanding for something that someone has went through, and respecting what they've been through, even if you haven't been through it. Being open to listening to what it is that they've been through, because their experience gave them substance and wisdom that they can now give to you that you would not have because you have not had the experience. Exactly. You don't want to embody it or integrate it as your issue. You only embody what's yours to embody, and not everything that's happening in your reality. You're here to figure out what's yours to embody through these mirrors in society, which are the other people you come in contact with, the experiences that you have. They're all showing you who you are. And the only way for you to figure out who you are is to pay attention to your emotions, because your emotions are telling you, I like this or I don't like this. It doesn't matter what the emotion is or the intensity of that emotion. It only matters if it was a good emotion, which is I like this, move towards this. This is a yes. This is getting me closer to who I am on a soul level. Or I don't like this. Yeah, that's not the option for me. I need to set a boundary and move in a different direction. That's how you refine. That's how you figure out who you are. You keep going towards what feels good and you move away from what doesn't. Confusion is a part of what doesn't feel good. You know, but we live in a society that's pushing us towards the mind. So they say you got to analyze, you got to figure it out, you got to find proof. You do not need to find proof. Truth is in your bones. It's in the way that you feel. That's the only truth that you have. I know for a fact, whether you tell me why you did what you did or not, that I didn't fucking like that shit. So I'm going to move in a different direction. And I don't need to know why you didn't. I just need to know that it's not aligned with me. Otherwise, it would have felt good. I'm saying this simply, but I know this is not simple. Please, 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 please understand. I got a condescending mama. And so if this is coming across condescending, I promise you, it's not on purpose. But for me, a soul who's been doing this for 9 incarnations, I get a little frustrated. Okay. Does that make sense? The feeling is the doorway. Neutral presence is the key to open the door. Compassion is how you unlock the frequency. You have to be willing to understand. That's what compassion is. You have to be willing to understand. That's the compassion. You can't go into it thinking that you know what the truth is. You got to be willing to understand. That's compassion. You can't think that you know the answers. What Erykah Badu say? The man who knows nothing, something knows that they know nothing at all. A man who knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. You have to be willing to understand from that lens, from that perspective, from that aspect, which means you cannot judge. You have to be open and create a safe space for the conversation to be had. Okay. So when betrayal arises, here is what's likely encoded inside of that. A past vow. I'll never trust again. I'll never love again. A soul fragment still stuck in that timeline, a previous timeline. Okay. Distorted lens. No one sees me, right? Anytime you say nobody sees me, nobody supports me, nobody is here for me, right? A lot of times it's not, and this is something that also came up this week. It's not that nobody sees you. It's that the person that you want to see you is not seeing you. It's not that nobody supports you. It's just the person that you want to support you, your mama, your daddy, your granny, those people are not supporting you. So you'll have friends that'll come into your reality and they'll be trying to support you, but you don't see them because it's not the person you want to be supporting you. And that's why I think identity keeps us stuck in a trap, right? Because we say, well, this is my family. This is my mother. She's supposed to act this way. You didn't come there for your mother's love. You came there for the codes that's buried underneath her trauma. She doesn't have the capacity, otherwise they wouldn't need you. Sometimes she's not even your soul family. She just what you need to come through in order for you to find yourself. That experience that you had with your mother set the ground. It set the foundation for your awakening. Usually the mother line gives you the gifts. The daddy line triggers the awakening. It sets the circumstances for how you awake. That's mommy issues and daddy issues. Okay? But because we've been told, well, this is your mom and this is how a mom is supposed to act through these fairy tale movies. When have you ever seen somebody motherfucking mama act like them fairy tale movies? No. Our mamas act like Cinderella stepmama. Okay? We get stuck in the semantics because they tell you what you're supposed to be experiencing. And then when you don't get that, you feel robbed, you feel betrayed, you feel all these things. It's a lie. It's an illusion that keeps you stuck and it keeps you trapped. And I say that with love, by the way, because I understand how heavy and deep that is. But it's supposed to keep you trapped. It's what keeps you trapped in a cycle because you're trying to constantly get them to validate you. You're trying to constantly get them to see you. That's the mirror wound. You can't see yourself until they see you. That's a mirror wound. That's a betrayal wound from a past life. Okay. Also, so the stuff sometimes that you're telling yourself is a lie. And it's because the person that you want to do it isn't doing it. Not that you're not getting it anywhere else. You want this specific person to say it. And if somebody else says it, it doesn't matter. You want this specific person to say it. You got to stop seeing yourself as the victim and see yourself as the survivor. Okay? Because when I do sessions with people and I'm like, well, what's the issue? Well, the issue is this. Okay, so who do you want to tell you that? Right? When I say that, people crack wide on open because they have a specific person that they want to validate them that is not validating them. It's usually your mother or your father or that man or that woman. But that man and that woman comes from your mother or your father. Okay? You don't need them to see you. You need you to see you. You need you to see you. You need you to see you. That's what you came here for, you to see you. Okay? So you have a distorted lens. Okay? Also a mirror to your own power of voices being suppressed. You're dimming yourself because you're trying to fit in. You're trying to be accepted. You're trying to belong. You're dimming yourself because you're trying to be like everybody else when you was never supposed to be like everybody else. Everybody has their own specific frequency that they hold. Everybody has their function. Nobody was supposed to be like everybody else, but they're trying to get everybody to think that they're like everybody else. That's why they tell us, oh no, everybody is alike. There is no color. There is no this. There is no that. Bitch, are you blind? I see what Cardi say. I see it. Are you fucking blind? Okay. I see it. Okay. A part of you is being suppressed. If you're seeking external validation, a part of you, you're suppressing a part of you. Okay. That's why people pleasers are never in genuine relationships. People pleasers always feel like they're everything to everybody, but nobody is anything to them. And it's because you're not showing up authentically. You're saying yes to everything. So nobody knows who the fuck you are. Because conflict is and I don't mean conflict like bop, 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 bop type of conflict. I just mean disagreements. Having differences is a part of relationships because that's how y'all get to know each other. And if you constantly saying yes and you don't have no disagreements and you're doing everything for everybody, you are erasing yourself. And so therefore you feel invisible. And you think it's everybody else. And so you try to pull back from everybody else like it's their fault, baby. You set the playing ground. This is your fault. You are deciding not to show up authentically. You're deciding to prioritize other people's comfort over your own. And I hate to say that because that's a hard truth. That's a hard truth. I hate to say it like that. But we need more of the truth and less of whatever the fuck we've been doing. Okay? People pleasers are manipulators. You are trying to win other people's favor by doing what you think they want you to do to belong. As a consequence, you erase yourself. You erase yourself in that process, and then you blame them for it. As a former people pleaser, let's be honest about what it is. That's what it is. And you feel unseen by everybody, but you're really just being unseen by yourself because you abandoned yourself so that you could belong in a space that don't have enough space for you. I might tell you a joke, but I'm never going to tell you a lie. Okay? And I've been there. So this is not judgment. Okay? This is not judgment. I wrote the book. I almost died underneath the pressure of that shit. Okay? Also, a grid point in your soul loom needs to be reweaved. Okay? Meaning our soul loom gets tangled up. It gets knotted up. Our crystalline nervous system gets knotted up and tangled up, and that's trauma. That's the aches and pains you feel in your body, right? And when it gets knotted up and tangled up, your light can't flow. And so you get a concentration of light that don't got nowhere to go. A concentration of plasma that don't got nowhere to go. And then that causes lumps, right? Because you got this concentration of energy that's building up in your heart space, or a concentration of energy. And that's what we call dis-ease or disease in the body, a dis-ease in the flow of energy. So every single disease that you have or ailment that you have comes from knotted up soul loom. It comes from past life trauma. The reason why some of y'all are born with liver problems is anger, suppressed anger from the feminine line. Y'all born with jaundice, suppressed anger from the feminine line. Kidney problems, fear, unacknowledged fear, the fear of the unknown. Y'all get what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you, boo. I appreciate that. The soul loom is knotted up somewhere. Okay. You don't fix anything by doing something in this environment. You fix it by doing something inside. As within, so without. Not as without, so within. As within, so without. What happens on the inside reflects the outside. That's exactly what it is, April. Your myofascia, your connective tissue, right? Autoimmune disorders come from self-abandonment. Martyrdom. Autoimmune disorders, martyrdom. Connective tissue disorders. There's knots in your soul loom. Because your soul loom uses those, your meridians are part of your soul loom's network. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. Now, when you fully allow the feeling, not in wallow, like you're not wallowing in the feeling, you're sitting present with the feeling, guys. You're sitting present. Okay. You're witnessing it. Without judgment, you're witnessing it, you're seeking to understand it. You start to feel the codes emerge beneath the pain, and that's symbols, that's soul images, that's language, that's memory, that's clarity. That's why stillness is so important, because stillness puts you into neutrality. That's where clarity, that's where confidence, that's where they live. Clarity, confidence, independence, sovereignty. They live in presence. They live in neutrality. Okay. And then when you can get to that point, that's when your oversoul starts to step in. But your oversoul, a lot of our oversouls don't trust us. Okay. And I know this firsthand. My oversoul low-key made me prove myself. They give me a word and they say, okay, once you master this, I'll be back. Right. And we think, you know, on a spiritual side, that once you start being and connecting with your ancestors and with, that they're going to be talking to you all the time. And then now they're going to guide you. Right. But that's not you trusting that you can guide yourself. You just go from depending on something out externally of you to depending on something internally of you. No, your oversoul don't play like that, because your oversoul is about empowering you to step into yourself, not empowering you to depend on them to tell you how to step into right. My oversoul would be like, this is what you need to do. See you in 4 months. And I'm just like, please, somebody help me, see me. And she's just like, bitch, until I see that you figure this out, we ain't got shit to talk about. Okay. Now, As within, so without is what I just said. Healing Earth. In order for us to heal Earth, we have to feel, because Earth is a feeling being. We have to clear our wounds because Earth is a womb planet, which is ancestral trauma. Okay, but we also have to feel souling. We got to feel, okay, as within, so without. Okay, so just as we talked about plasma earlier, when you heal your feeling body, which is where the plasma moves through, when you heal your feeling body, your plasmic body realigns and Earth's plasmic grid receives that harmonic. Earth recognizes you even when you don't recognize yourself. Okay. Now, this is what the ancients mean when they say stuff like to feel is to remember, but that remember, to feel is to remember. Okay, to remember is to heal the whole. When I say remember, I mean you're one member. You're one member, and you have all these fractalized soul fragments. Okay, and you're trying to remember. You're trying to bring all these fractals together into one member. You're trying to reassemble, remember. You're trying to remember yourself. You're trying to bring all these separated pieces into one member. That's what it means to remember. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Because in my head, it makes sense, but I don't know if in y'all head it makes sense, because I'm saying it over and over again. And each time I think I'm eating, I don't know if y'all get what I'm saying. You are remembering. You're bringing, it's like you got an arm over here, a leg over here, a leg, and you're trying to remember. You're trying to like Frankenstein, but like the pieces fit. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Now, yes, like dismembered, you're remembering. Okay. Y'all is smart. Y'all is love. Y'all is kind. Each member is a part of the whole. Yes, 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 yes. Dismember versus remember. Yes, yes. Y'all get it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, Earth has been fractured from the whole, which is the rest of the Milky Way galaxy, right? Because Earth is fractured, her beings are fractured across dimension. We are fractalated as well. We are fractured because she was fractured, so we had to fracture to come here, because she ain't working at her full capacity, so we couldn't come in working at our full capacity. We had to forget we had all these things happen. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Okay. So Earth is the macro mirror to our micro. Our micro mirrors are the people around us, the experiences that we're having. Earth is the macro mirror. Okay? Affects what's happening in the micro mirror affects the macro mirror. Okay? She's the macro mirror of the oversoul fracture. And it's played out through planetary epochs in microcosmic karmic cycles. Okay? Microcosmic karmic cycles. Now, let me talk about this. If we're thinking holistic, the universe that we live in, the Milky Way galaxy, is the macrocosm. Earth is the mesocosm, meaning in the middle. Earth is the mesocosm. We are the microcosm, right? But within those micro, meso, macro, are micro, meso, macros. Do you know what I'm saying? As within, so without, it just keeps dividing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so there was a fracture. And this fracture is the ages echo the fracture that Earth has experienced. Okay, so we have the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, the iron age. Okay, these are the root races in a traditional sense, or what they call the yugas. Okay, don't correct me, ho. Let me block you. I hate people like you. I just want to say that. Now, anyways, so this is what these ages represent. So you have the golden age, and the golden age is about unity consciousness. We're in a golden age right now, and we feel good usually in the golden age. Jayla, don't laugh at me. Y'all already know I run a strict program over here. Don't get in here getting on my motherfucking nerves. Okay, I'm trying to teach you something. You worry about the wrong motherfucking thing. How can I teach you if your ass ain't listening, ho? Is you cool? Anyways, and y'all, I'll tell y'all all the time that language be fucking me up. It's because it's not my first language. I didn't speak with my mouth. I spoke with my soul. But anyways, let me get off of that. All right. So anyways, we in the golden age. Atlantis was in the golden age too. That's usually when they talk about Atlantis, they talk about the golden age, right? So the golden age is unity consciousness. This is where your soul feels whole. Okay, this is the era of Earth where the soul feels whole, and that's why we got so much energy and it feels so good and everybody's getting along, nobody's fighting, like that, right? The collective experience is crystalline memory, telepathy, Edenic, Earth, and divine play. And that's why I feel like they be trying to traumatize us all the time. They're trying to traumatize us no matter what age we in to try to keep us from remembering. Okay, that's the golden age. She is boss B energy. Okay, then you got the silver age. Now the silver age is the first fragmentation. This is where soul remembering loss happens. Okay, so as a collective experience, hierarchies emerge. The kings, the queens, I'm better than you because of the bloodline that I've been born into. Lies. Okay, longing for source, early distortion. Okay, that's the silver age energy. The bronze age is this is where the karmic loop begins. This is distortion codified. Okay, this is where the warring happens. The warring gods, the sacrifice rituals, the early empire building. The bronze age. Iron age is the deepest density. Okay, this is oversoul shadow externalization, meaning like your shadows are being externalized. Amnesia, control grid, soul inversion, full polarity loop, meaning your truth is the only truth, everybody else's truth is wrong. Okay. Each age was seeded after a specific oversoul wound. So these cycles that we go through in these ages are seeded after oversoul wounds that need to be transmuted. Okay. A cosmic betrayal, a collapse, or an exile. Okay. And entire civilizations were built either to mirror, replay, or repair those fractures. Okay. So karma within this is a micro mirror. So that's the macro mirror. Okay. That's Earth's karmic loop. Okay. The macro mirror is karma we experience. Karma is not punishment or reward, really, because you have good karma, bad karma, both sides, polarity, whatever. It's a holographic replay loop. It's like that point you get a scratch CD and that part just keep or you get a vinyl and you got to scratch over your favorite part. Oh, that eats me up, right? It reflects the unhealed energetic echo from past soul events, repeating in this life until it's witnessed and alchemized. You have to witness it, meaning you have to see it, you have to be present with it, but you also have to alchemize it. And alchemy means to turn one thing into another, right? You know how they said Jesus turned water into wine? Water is emotion. Okay, emotional energy is water. He turned it into wine. Wine represents grapes going into something else. Grapes turning into something else, which is after you ferment it, after years and years and years, it turns into something else. Wisdom. Your emotions turn into wisdom. Water into wine. Wisdom. As it ages, as you have the emotional experience, and as you age, it wisdom. Does that make sense? So emotional alchemy requires two things. You need presence. You need to feel it. You need to sit with it. You need to not judge it. You need to sit in neutrality with it. You got to hold it. You got to cry it out or whatever the fuck you got to do. But then you also need to change it into something else, which is art. That's where art and beauty comes from. That's where storytelling, poetry, painting, music. You transform that pain into something else. And now when you think about it, it doesn't hit this. You put it somewhere else beautiful. And now when you think about it, you think about that beautiful piece of thing that you made out of that. So for me, it was getting on TikTok and just sharing, being vulnerable about my experiences and sharing them with other people and have other people validate my experience. Or we just talk shit. Some people call me stupid. I don't care. For me, I either write or I storytell or whatever your modality is what your modality is. Okay, but you need a vessel to put it in, because the vessel is what alchemy. You need a vessel that's not your vessel, meaning you got to take it from the inside and put it on the outside. That's how you alchemize it. You take it from the inside and put it on the outside. Inside, you alchemize it from the inside and put it in the outside, which is speaking to your friends, speaking to a therapist, journaling, storytelling, writing a book, making a song, singing a song. You know? Okay. I love that you said that. You are smart, way above Bible teachers. The Bible is a beautiful tool. I just think that religion is the problem, because religion is telling you how to perceive the Bible, and the Bible is supposed to be perceived based off of your level of consciousness. So everybody's supposed to get something different from it, but they're telling you exactly what to get from it, and that's the problem. But the Bible itself is a beautiful, beautiful tool. Beautiful tool. But it's not, it's supposed to be self-study, not group study, collective study, because if one person misinterprets it, y'all misinterpret it. But anyways, now, when you experience repeating heartbreak, you're revisiting a soul wound of loss. Constant abandonment, you're replaying oversoul exile. Being silenced or persecuted, you're in the loop of truth flame suppression, meaning you are suppressing your truth for other people. Okay. Your personal karma is intimately linked to collective distortion grids Earth is moving through. Okay. Earth needs to alchemize these things. Therefore, you are feeling them because you need to alchemize. Martyr in this last month, martyr and suppression have been huge. Martyr, suppression, betrayal have been huge. Grief, longing have been huge. That's what Earth is moving through right now, because Earth is motherfucking tired. And so you're feeling that come up in your field because Earth is moving through it, and she needs you to alchemize it so she don't have to feel it no more. Okay? Now, remember I said we were in an infinite reincarnation loop. So after the oversoul fracture, which is Lyra's collapse, the collapse of Tara, all the other collapses, it just depends on whatever lineage you come from, right? Many beings became caught in a loop of fragment, reincarnate, forget, repeat. Fragment first, because in order for you to descend in this density, you have to fragment. You can't hold your whole self in this. Our bodies, these bodies cannot hold our whole self, because so much grief is in these bodies when they being created. It only can hold as much as it has been alchemized before it, right? So if you want high vibrational kids, you need to clear out space before you get pregnant with those kids, right? Because then they can come in holding more space, more love, more light. But your womb is creating them, right? Your womb is creating them. Okay. So if you were steeped in trauma, those kids are not going to have enough space for light in them. And that's going to determine how buried they are, how fragmented they have to be to come here. Is going to be contingent upon how much work y'all have done as a lineage, right? I hope that makes sense. So fragment, because you have to become a fractal, okay? Reincarnate, that's where you forget, is the reincarnating. Well, you reincarnate, then you forget, then you repeat. Okay, that's the loop. Okay, so we also get caught in the loop of taking on collective karma. We was not supposed to see all this trauma, all these things, all these. Okay, so because we take on collective karma, sometimes we're blind to distorted Earth timelines, meaning like they've been doing this for so long, this is just the way that it is. Right? This is just the way that it is. I'm getting there, y'all. Just let me bake for a second. This is just the way that it is. Right? And we get stuck in those timelines. They tell us we got to go to school, and we blind to it, right? It wasn't until I got older that I realized that, oh, they're conditioning us in those schools. fun, good times. We don't need to know any of this shit. Great. That was so for us to either go and build their dream or what they want us to build. But it was never set up for us to build what we want to. So that's okay. So my life is about you and not me. Okay, I didn't realize that while it was happening. Why? Because we're blind to the distorted earth timelines because we take on collective trauma. Okay, collective karma. Okay. Also, we get caught in this loop of trying to heal through roles of martyrdom, savior, witness, and anchor. Martyrdom, savior, witness, and anchor. Now, this creates an intuitive infinite loop, which many light lineages or flame bearers are finally stepping out of. Okay. That's why it feels like entire soul history is pressing inwards right now on you. It feels like you have so much that you have to clear, so much. It feels like there's an urgency behind it, right? You're not just trying to heal you, you're collapsing entire epoch, karmic contracts that your oversoul entered into on behalf of other people, right? I told y'all when I was going through my spiritual awakening, what started my spiritual awakening was the death of George Floyd. I think that was a significant point for a lot of us, right? And so I went and I was downtown. I was protesting. I had a backpack full of water, and I had my mom get a backpack full of water because I just wanted to make sure people was hydrated, all the things, right? I walk into the Capitol where our Capitol is, and as soon as I walk up, my mama gives me a hug, and I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "You're crying." I look down, my shirt is soaked. At this point, I did not know that I was a collective mirror, meaning like I transmute emotional energy on a collective level. Well, multidimensional mirror, which is my opal energy. So I transmute emotional energy on a collective level. Okay. So I walk in and I'm just crying. I'm boohoo crying. I don't even know that it's happening until my mama says something. I feel my face and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Right. So that my oversoul was releasing or transmuting on behalf of other people. Okay. So we have to move from because karma was not a thing. Karma is a thing because we stuck in a reincarnation loop because of this fracture that separated us from the rest of the universe. Okay, I hope you understand that. Okay, it's only a thing that exists here. Okay, so we got to go from karma to kairos. Okay, which is sacred time. As you begin to anchor your oversoul fully, you step off the karmic loop and into kairos. Kairos, Kairos, which is sacred time, soul time, and freedom from distortion. Because we did not come here, we did not agree to distortion. We did not agree to distortion. There are predatory beings who have forced it on us because we don't remember ourselves. And so that allowed them to create systems that keep us entrapped. Okay, not on my watch. Right? So what you begin to do when you step into kairos instead of chronos, which we're going to talk about in a second, you begin to remember without pain. You begin to feel without looping. You know what keeps you in a loop? You want to know what keeps you in a loop? Confusion. Confusion is like a hamster on a wheel, right? And confusion, the reason why I put you in a loop is because you're trying to figure out why somebody did something, right? But they told you scientifically, you need to figure out the proof. You need to figure out why. You need to analyze. That's why they want you in the mind, because then you get stuck in a loop because you're trying to figure out why somebody did something. But you figuring out why somebody did something is contingent upon the fact of whether or not you trust this person, because that could tell you any motherfucking thing. Right. And you feel the truth in your bones. So you can feel when they lying to you. And so you just keep pushing, trying to figure out why. When really you asking what's wrong with me. You ain't even asking why. You asking what's wrong with me. Why not me? Right. Confusion is a no. Confusion is a no. Confusion is a no. Does it feel good? No, it's a no. It means choose another option. That's not the option for you. But when you ask the question why, and you're trying to figure out why somebody did this and why somebody did this, because you're still trying to choose them. Because you're trying to justify a reason for you choosing them. Say I'm lying. It's because you want to find a reason to still choose them when you know that you're betraying yourself. All right. You know, listen to Big Cuz now. I ain't saying I know it all, but I know that. Why? Because I've been there. And I'll be honest with myself. You trying to find a reason to choose them so you ain't got to do nothing different. Which means you're actively abandoning yourself. Okay? You can feel without looping. You can still feel it without looping and jumping back on that chaos emotional roller coaster. Okay? Serve without sacrifice. Proper support, nurture, and care for other people is built on the foundation of self-love. You have to love yourself first and love yourself in so much abundance that you have all this extra energy to pour into other people, right? That is when you have to be generous in spirit first in order for you to serve someone else properly. Because if you say, well, I only got $50, if I got $50, you got $25, you are doing yourself a disservice. Now y'all both broke. Now you just chosen to be broke with them. Okay? Proper support, nurture, and care for other people is built on the foundation of self-love. You love yourself in so much abundance that you have all this overflow that you get to pour into other people's cups. But the moment that you stop being in a state of overflow, you stop serving and you serve yourself. You don't have abundance to be generous with. You're no longer in an abundant spirit to be generous with. That is where it becomes depletion. That's where it becomes self-sacrifice. Some of y'all don't know when to stop giving. Okay? And in addition to that, empathy is used with discernment. Empathy is used with discernment. If you burnt your hand on that stove, don't burn your hand on that stove again. But some of y'all have unconditional tolerance and y'all have confused love, unconditional love with unconditional tolerance. That's not what unconditional love is. Unconditional love is allowing people to make the choices that are best suited for them in their life and trust that they know how to guide themselves without your interference. And if they need to vent, you hold compassion and space for them. You create a safe environment for them to do that. If they want your opinion, you give them the opinion without you feeling like you need to jump in and save them and do the work for them, because you understand that everybody is on their own journey. And just because you've learned something don't mean that they've learned that yet. We learn through experiences. If they haven't had the experience yet, they haven't got the opportunity to learn the thing yet. Right? And so y'all got both blank canvases. Y'all painting the painting and you over there telling them, well, you need a little bit of yellow right here and a little orange right here. And you don't even know what the fuck they painting. Unconditional love is allowing people, is understanding we're on this journey together. Yes, we may be on the same highway, but we got different directions. So I can't jump in and interfere in your journey, because if you don't learn the lesson yourself, it's just going to come back. And the next time it's going to be worse and worse and worse and worse until you crack, until you break. I am doing you a disservice by interfering in what you have going on, because I don't even know what your mission is. Only you know what your mission is, because you hold the memories. You hold the feelings for what you came here to do. I hold them for me. So love does not come in force. It never has. Love comes in ease. If you need me, I'm here to witness you. If you want my opinion, you ask for it. But I do not overextend myself, or I don't try to do it for you. I don't treat you like you broken or you're something that I need to fix. Also, you create without bypassing. Okay? You create without bypassing. Meaning you got to get into the energy, and then you create from that energy. You create whatever you're creating from that energy. Okay? This is returning us to the golden harmonic, which is what Atlantis was built off of. We were a golden society. The golden harmonic is coming back. Okay? Well, no. In a new way. It's coming back with a new design, right? Which is new earth frequency they keep talking about, right? Because we don't want to do what we did in the past. We don't want to recreate the past, because that did not work. Otherwise, we would not have fractured, right? But we want to take the lessons that we have learned and create something new, okay? And this is helping us to birth this new harmonic template. Us learning from our lessons, us showing up differently, we're creating the new harmonic, okay? Now, let's talk about healing through the role of the martyr, the savior, the witness, and anchor. And we'll talk about why sometimes healing through those roles can be limiting, right? Because I'm always going to give you the information, but I'm also going to tell you what the fuck to do with it. Okay? Because why would I not tell you what the fuck to do with it? Okay? So these roles, while they are sacred in our original essence, we are using them out of the shadow side. Okay? We're using them out of the shadow side because we're stuck in polarity consciousness. Okay? So we're working out of the shadow of these energies. These energies are sacred energies. These roles are sacred roles. Okay? But a lot of times they have been distorted through karmic loops, through trauma patterns, and through control grids. Okay. Martyr is attached to people pleasing. Many souls who incarnate early to assist Earth's evolution step into these roles with purity of heart, but over time, and this is what happened to a lot of us, myself included, martyr energy often becomes entangled with sacrifice, with depletion and powerlessness. Okay, it anchors a belief that one must suffer for others to awaken. Okay, and that's prioritizing everybody else's needs in front of your own. That's suppressing your truth because you want to prioritize their comfort. That is giving, and not receiving. That's martyr energy. The savior role often carries unspoken superiority or obligation. Okay, holding the burden of fixing others who must walk their own spiral. That's what I said unconditional love was, right? Allowing them to walk their own spiral. It's not your job to fix them or save them or treat them like they broken. They know what they're doing. Trust that they know what they're doing, right? No, I don't have kids. Okay. So the savior role often carries unspoken superiority. You think it has to be you. You feel obligated to save everybody. Okay. You got to carry the word on your back. The witness role can stagnate into passivity. The people who never have an opinion about anything, right? Sometimes I see that people's mothers, they don't say anything about anything. They deal with everything alone. They play, you can see them suffering, but they don't say anything. Okay. Passivity, disconnection, or voyeurism instead of active remembrance and creation. And the anchor role may lock a soul into density, delaying the movement into their own evolution because they're holding it down for other people. Okay. These are the people who play the protector, the guardian. You know, they holding it down, that they feel like they got to hold it down for everybody else. And so when your grandma died, you don't grieve your grandma because you're too worried about your mama. You're trying to be the anchor for somebody else so much so that you bypass what it is that you need. That's what I mean by anchor. Okay. So these were once sacred initiatory roles. Remember in the process, or understand that in this process of you remembering yourself, you already are the thing. Okay. You're remembering the thing, but you already are the thing. You just need to unbury the thing, right? So parts of the thing are going to shine through because they're already a part of you. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. Okay. So these were once sacred initiatory roles. You know who you are. You just don't know with your mind. You know with your body, but you don't know with your mind. Okay. But they become distorted when you stay too long in them out of guilt or identity attachment or trauma. Identities are the problem. You know, when you say, my name is Taja, and they're like, okay, who are you? Right? They ask, that's the first thing people ask you. Even if you ever been in sports and you've been in an interview or something like that, they'd be like, well, who is Taja? And you start to list off all these things that you are. That creates a problem because anytime that you fall short of any of those things that you've identified yourself with, you have an identity fracture and now you don't know who you are anymore. Instead, you should allow yourself to be a multitude of different things. Because then I think you rob yourself of the experience because you think you one thing and you multiple things, right? It's okay for you to be somebody who does sports, but also loves Broadway and theater, right? But they say, oh no, but that's the weird kids. That's the this kid. Who said that? You know? Identities are part. You think, well, I want to be a cool kid, so I got to act this way. Oh, I want to be an athlete, so I got to act this way. Oh, I want to be a nurturer, so I have to sacrifice myself and act this. No, you are multiple different things. So you need to loosen your grip on who you think you are, which is going to give you space to discover who you actually are, which is a multifaceted, multidimensional ass being. You know? So our attachments to our identities cause so much, and your attachment to other people's identities as well. Because then you think, well, this is my mama. This is my mama. My mama is supposed to do this while she's actively fucking abusing you. She's actively abusing you. And you're like, well, this is my mama. I have to have unconditional loyalty to her. Who said that? Who said that? You know? It's because they put us in these identity structures. It cause problems. Okay. So when you stay too long in them out of guilt, because this is my mama, I don't want to leave my mama, I don't want to seem like the bad son, and blah, 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 right? Identity attachment or trauma. Because we trauma bond with people too. And I feel like them friendships that be 20, 30 plus years, we done trauma bonded with that person, and that person is actively being cruel to us, abusing us, treating us like we stuck to the bottom of their motherfucking shoe and we don't go no motherfucker where. Staying too long, right? Because we feel like we loyal to them because that's my longest friend, and that means that I'm a good friend. Is that what does that mean? Right? Because they always trying to shame us into some shit. I just want to say that. Now, they become distorted when you use them to avoid embodiment, evolution, or personal joy. Okay? One thing that the martyr will do is see the potential in somebody else, right? And so they're trying to help them to reach that potential, which means they abandoning themselves, they sacrificing themselves, they doing all the work for these people, da, da, da. Hope is the annihilation of joy. And what I mean by that is if you hoping that somebody is going to become a version of themselves that you see, and let me explain this too. Because you're a multidimensional being, okay? You have multidimensional gifts. One of the gifts, if you have soul to soul coherence, right? One of the gifts that you have is when you look at people, you don't see the version that's in front of you. You see them across multiple dimensions. You see all the versions that they could be. This is what we call potential, right? And so you see all the versions they could be, and you try to push them and fix them and shape them into those versions that the person that's in front of you does not have the capacity to conceive. You are looking at them through a multidimensional lens, which causes you to break, bend, and shape shift, and all the things to try to help them to get to a place that they cannot conceive. You can never do the work for somebody. You can never make somebody change. They have to choose those things, right? And so what happens is you abandon yourself and you deprioritize your ability to experience joy now because you're trying to get your joy through somebody else. That's what I mean by bypassing, right? You could be experiencing joy every single day by choosing somebody who's already aligned with you. You know, we go into relationships and we like, this is a fixer up. This is good enough. This is closer than what I've ever been. Right now, as they are they aligned? Yes or no? That would save you a lot of trouble. But instead we go on and we think we got to build a nigga. Okay? Stop doing that. As somebody who used to do, stop doing that. Understand that you're rare. Understand that you're special, and you look at the world in a way that other people don't look at the world. It's going to save you trouble. When you go into situations, is this person aligned with me as I am right now? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, get the fucking rooms with people who are aligned. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're fucking crazy. You're going to feel misunderstood. You're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel like you don't fucking belong, and you're going to feel alone. And then that's going to cause you to isolate. And then you're never going to get what you want, which is genuine connection, because you think everybody treats you that way when really you just in the wrong fucking rooms. Am I a preacher? I might have been in a past life. I mean, anyways, that was a word. I surprise shock myself sometimes. But I mean that. Okay. So when I say spiritual bypassing, when I say bypassing joy, bypassing growth, bypassing evolution, another way I see this show up is how people use the Bible. I be wanting to take that fucking Bible and rock your shit with it, because people will be like, oh, but it says men just fall victim to the flesh, and so that's just how they're gonna be, and so as long as he comes home to me, we're okay. And you convince yourself that that's what you want, but you're dying on the inside. But you're crying all the motherfucking time. But you're calling me and venting and pouring all your shit all over me every 5 motherfucking minutes. But you keep telling me, trying to convince me that that's what you want. And when I tell you that's not what it is, yes, it is, because men are weak in the flesh. Just please shut the fuck up. Please, for the sake of everything that is holy. That's not what divine union is supposed to look like. It's two whole people coming together. You take care of yourself emotionally and physically. I take care of myself emotionally and physically, and we share this space together until it don't work no more. And then we move on to the next person. But we got all these systems that are meant to entrap us. The Bible, a beautiful tool. It enslaves the ignorant. It enslaves the ignorant. But for the wise, it teaches you valuable lessons. So understand when I say that it was designed this way and it was designed on purpose, it is not your fault. It is not your fault if you feel, and I'm not judging you. I am not judging you. It is not your fault. It was designed this way on purpose. But that's what I mean when I say people who are avoiding evolution. You're comfortable. You don't think you're going to find anybody else. This is the closest that you ever been to this feeling. And so you compromise yourself, you break yourself, you fragment yourself when you're already fucking fragmented. Right? And you try to fit into this little space. And now 10 years later, he ain't even proposed to you. Or matter of fact, because I just seen a video about this the other day, been with him for 15 years, and that nigga proposed to you in the car and think that you're supposed to take it, and you say no. And he like, ain't this what you wanted? Feels entitled to your yes. And to give you the bare fucking minimum after 10, 15 fucking years. And he feels like, no, you have to say yes to me because I'm damn, here you go. I'm proposing out of obligation. Take what I'm. Oh, I want so much better for us. Yeah, I do have a podcast. It's called Becoming No One. It's on all podcast platforms. It's actually doing really great right now. I've been getting like, I would probably say about 4 or 5 emails a week of people asking me to come and be interviewed on my podcast, but I ain't doing that because my podcast is about remembering and becoming. It's called Becoming No One, which means releasing the identities so that you could step into the version. That podcast was designed when I first started my spiritual journey, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I just started doing research and stuff like that, and I decided to take people along on a journey with me. Some of the information I will say at the beginning of the podcast is outdated. Becoming no, like N-O-1, O-N-E, becoming no one, like no one. I'm no one at all. Okay. And so some of the information is a little outdated. I've outgrown because my truth has deepened since I made that podcast, but it's still a beautiful place to start. I think it's easy to understand from the lens that I was at that point. Now I'm talking the season. I'm in the middle of season 3 right now, but I'm just reposting some of these lives that I do, but specifically the lives around Atlantis and the Lyra fracture and stuff like that. The flame bearer lineages, which is where your soul comes from. Bloodlines and stuff like that, just because I need y'all to understand why y'all came here, because I came here to help people to embody their oversoul, and that's what this conversation is about, but also season 3 of my podcast. So yeah, this is just a random Saturday. I had a dream last night that brought all this shit up when I channeled this morning, and I just felt like I needed to hop on here and get it off of me while I still fresh. Otherwise, it's not going to be authentic. It's not going to feel like this. So I just had to take my Saturday to do this. Okay. So that's what avoidance looks like, is that you start to distort teachings. You start to prioritize somebody else's comfort over your own. So deprioritizing your own personal joy in those moments, because you're sacrificing yourself for all these other people, which is what society tells women to do any fucking way. That's the only way we bring value, is if we look good and we please in other people. Right. And you are avoiding the way that you feel, because when you avoid the way you feel, you avoid embodiment. Oh, that? Yes, you can cash app me. My cash app is in the description. It's BIGTAJJJ. I do accept donations, but that's my cash app. Okay. Also through my YouTube channel, because I'm recording this on YouTube as well. There's like a little cash thing at the bottom. You can click that and it'll let you donate as well. But anyways, okay. And then the last way that these initiatory roles are distorted is you feel needed by them, okay? Instead of free to evolve into new expressions of your oversoul, you feel needed by other people, right? Or you want to feel needed by other people. And so you're trying to take people with you, okay? You need to get on your Harriet Tubman. You go first. You figure out what the path is first, and you turn around, and then you go back and get the people, okay? The goal is to be a lighthouse. Right? You know what a lighthouse does? It sits at the end of the ocean, and it's just going like this. It's just spreading the light so that people can see where they coming to, right? You the lighthouse. You witness. You not doing nothing but illuminating the path. That's it. You're the lighthouse. A beacon. Thank ya. A beacon. Thank ya. You're a beacon. You're a lighthouse. That's it. Don't try to be anything else. Don't try to be the people who jump in the water and swim out to the boat. You're the lighthouse. They're coming to you, right? Because when you really do step into your energy, you become magnetic. You don't got to chase a motherfucking thing. You are magnetic. You are magnetic. So everything is coming to you that is supposed to witness you. You turn on the light, they see you, they come to you. Me, my light is on. That's why y'all here. But I didn't come and look for you. I ain't write you in a DM and say, hey, I got a service for you guys. You guys need to check out this. I turn on the light and y'all can see me. You can see me. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But you feel needed by other people. And so you jump in the water with them and they splashing the fuck around and you like, hold on, I'm trying to get us to the shore, and they pushing you under so they can keep themselves up. And you like, wait a motherfucking minute, bitch, I'm trying to get us. And then you finally get the person in the boat and they start poking holes in the boat because they like the water. They start jumping and trying to run from you. You threw them a raft. They trying to pull the boat underneath. Hold the fuck up. You was never supposed to be in that water with them. And that's the problem. That's how you get attachments from other people. That's how you take on the burdens of other people. That's how destiny swapping happen, because you're trying to get in a motherfucking boat with people. You're the lighthouse. You're the lighthouse. You're the lighthouse. Okay? So, the remedy is not to discard the essence of these roles. Okay? Thank you, my love. The remedy is not to discard the essence of these roles, because these are sacred roles. They are initiatory roles, right? But to purify them, to integrate their lessons, and to release the contracts that hold them indefinitely. Okay? You're working out of the shadow. Empathy comes with discernment. Somebody needs to ask for your help if they want it. Your help looks like advice or a safe space for people to navigate. It does not look like overextension. If you have it in abundance, you can give it. But if you don't have it in abundance, you don't got none. You don't got none. Okay? And that means coochie too. If you're not happy and where you want to be, it's okay for you to say no. And if he mad, get rid of him. Blink if you're okay. All right. So what is Kairos? What is Kairos? Okay. Kairos is divine timing. It's soul time and the non-linear unfolding of aligned destiny. Okay. Unlike Chronos, who they call the father of time, by the way, that's a distortion. They're trying to lock you into a frequency. Okay. Chronos is linear clock time based in measurement and planning. We view time from Chronos frequency when it should be Kairos frequency. Okay? Kairos is qualitative. It's the rightness of that moment. Okay? It's when all timelines converge into the now because of soul alignment. There is no other moment that exists other than this moment right now. Right? But because we live in separation, we think there's a past and there's a future. And they tell us that there's a past and there's a future, right? And so many of us are living in the past, or other of us feel like we're supposed to be somewhere else. So we're living in the future, and nobody is sitting here. Nobody is here in this moment right now. You worried about your bills. You're worried about this. You worried about that. Or you're back there worried about all the trauma that everybody done put you through. Nobody is right here in the now moment. The now moment is the neutral point. Okay? The heart's the neutral point. The now moment is the neutral point. The now moment is the neutral point. That's where everything is created from, the neutral point. Your manifestations, your affirmations ain't working because you're not in the now moment. Because you're moving out of desperation because you ain't trying to be broke no more. Or you're moving out of desperation because you want to be somewhere that you feel like you should be, but you're not because somebody told you you should be over there. And then so you're dissatisfied with where you are right now. And you're creating this fucking... Do y'all get what I'm saying? The Kranos... Nope. The Kairos, yes, the Kairos is the now moment. Okay, divine timing. So alignment, all of that stuff happens when you're in the now moment. Okay. When you're not thinking about that or that or that. I can only control what's happening right now. Fuck everything else. I can't worry about it. I'm right here with you. When you talking to somebody, you ain't on your phone. You're here. You're here. Multitasking, only 35% of the population is built for multitasking. Everybody else supposed to be one moment at a time, 1 second at a time, one thing at a time, right? How you get into Kairos is slow the fuck down. You're doing too many, you got your hands, too many motherfuckers. Slow down and be where you are, right? Now, Kairos means stepping out of mental timelines and syncing with oversoul alignment, which means you got to get on your own rhythm. The rhythm that they told you to follow, it don't work for all of us. Some of us are feminine energy. Me, I'm more alive at the nighttime than I am in the daytime. You talk to me about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to wonder why the fuck your mouth is open and your lips is moving towards me. I'm going to wonder why you're doing that. Right? I'm more alive in the nighttime. You know? Stepping out of mental timelines. And they told us the timelines is wrong anyways. Everything starts with the feminine cycle. So our day starts at 6 p.m. Our day starts at 6 p.m. That's a new day. That's the beginning of the feminine cycle. The feminine cycle is from 6 p.m. into 6 a.m. Then that starts the masculine cycle. The masculine cycle is the activity cycle, right? That's where you have the most energy. But that's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? They tell you the new year is in January, which is down. That's in the dead of winter. Liars. Okay? But then most people think it's in April, but that's the start of the masculine cycle. It's in September. It's September 22nd, actually. That's how you get on Earth's timing. That's Earth's timeline, not the sun's timeline, Earth's timeline, right? But you got to get on your own rhythm, though, because you got your own rhythm, too. Okay? Allow moments to find you through presence. Sit present in those moments and allow them to find you. What I do when I wake up in the morning, I go and I tend to myself first, right? Because I live a life of service where I'm talking to people all day. I'm doing flame lineage readings. I have mentees, right? And so my whole work schedule is around other people. So what I do when I get up is the first thing I do is tend to me. So I go and I sit on my porch and I recalibrate. I ask Earth what she needs from me today. I ask my oversoul what is moving through me today, right? And through me doing that, sometimes I'll catch birds flying past. And I know this seems simple, but birds flying past in a certain pattern. Or after work, I go and I watch the sunset and I get to see some really cool, like picture, postcard moments, you know, and it's just because I'm sitting present and I'm paying attention to what's happening around me, you know? Acting only when the resonance rings through every layer of your being. I am never going to be the type of person who's going to be the content creator that y'all need. I'm not, because I move on my own schedule. I got to do it when I got the energy to do it. If I don't got the energy to do it, I'm not going to do it. So those people are like, you need to post 4 times a day. I ain't doing that. I don't got the capacity to do that. I am living life, but they're trying to keep you on the platform. And so the algorithm is designed around you posting consistently. But I'll tell you what, as somebody who does not post, I will go weeks without posting. If you post something of quality, people are going to feel that shit. It doesn't matter. People are going to feel that shit. Okay. So acting when resonance rings through every layer of your being, which means you got to get into your body and out your fucking mind. If you wake up in the morning and your body is like, I'm tired, but you say in your mind, well, I got to be productive. I got to do this, and that today because I got a list, right? That's chronos. That's measurement. I got a list I got to get done. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to honor my body. My body is tired, so I'm going to lay the fuck around today. And I don't give a fuck if you call me lazy. Okay? It's the opposite of rushing, fixing, pushing, striving. It's the opposite of that. Okay? So how do we reach Kairos? You need to return to presence. Kairos is something that cannot be forced. It's always available to you, but only notice when you slow down. The body is the compass. Okay? The body is the compass. You have to slow down and feel into yourself. Okay? One thing that I've been doing is if I'm in meditation, I try to pull all my energy to the inside of my body. Because I didn't realize how much of my energy was on the outside because I was hyper vigilant. I was trying to scan my environment to see if I'm safe. And so a lot of my energy is on the outside. Baby, I got to put that energy back in my body Too, because when your energy on the outside, you become a vessel for use, meaning that any consciousness can come into your body because you ain't in your body. You on outside, right? But when you in your body, you could feel when something trying to spiritually attack you. You could feel when something's happening. Why? Because you're in your body and you're used to being in your body, right? The second thing, you have to dissolve identity attachments. Stop trying to be Taja. Stop trying to be Jen. Stop trying to be Jayla. Stop trying to be Ty. And allow yourself to just exist as you are in that moment. I am a different version of myself every single day. Don't call me about some shit I did last week or said last week. I don't give a fuck. After I have posted a video, I don't even be in the comments like that after the first about 10 minutes. When I move on from it, I ain't looking back at that. That was yesterday's problem. I meant what I said yesterday. I might mean something different today. I allow myself to be who I am moment for moment. That's where real growth happens. Because if you don't allow yourself to be something different moment for moment, when people come to you with new information, you are unwilling. You are unwilling to even listen or consider that because it doesn't fit who you think you are identity-wise. Because it doesn't fit, right? When you get in new information, we're designed to grow, evolve. Okay? We're designed to grow, evolve, and change. But this society is conditioning us towards staying the same. That's why we go to school every single day at the same time. Then you go to work the same time that you went to school. Then when you tire, they teach you that you need to buy a house so you can do the same thing every single day. Right? So many of us are afraid of the unknown. We're afraid to trust ourselves enough to guide ourselves in any reality. Right? And so we stay the same. We prioritize comfort over evolution. And we confuse movement with evolution. Just because you're moving and you're doing shit don't mean you evolving. You know? True evolution comes in stillness. So when you get in new information that comes through your senses, whether you smell it, you see it, you taste it, you hear it, you whatever it, you touch it, right? You use your emotions to process whether you like that thing or you don't like that thing so that you can take the appropriate action that needs to be taken. But since we disconnected from our emotions and we getting a bunch of misinformation, we don't know what actions to take. So we sitting in a state of confusion, waiting for something to happen outside of us, waiting for somebody to come in and save us. When you're in a state of expansion, you're in a state of openness, you're in a state of willingness. So if somebody brings new information to me, I am going to consider it. Why? Because I'm okay with myself I'm okay with what I know changing. I'm okay with my truth evolving and deepening. In fact, I want that to happen. Please tell me some shit I don't know so I can go tell me where you got it from. You know, maybe I need to sit with my guys. Maybe I need to read a book. I don't know. It just depends on what I need in that moment. But I allow my truth to deepen. I allow my truth to change. I allow my mind to change. I allow me to change. A true sign of good health is flexibility. Flexibility in what you think you know. Flexibility in your mental state. Flexibility in your emotional state. Flexibility in your motherfucking body. Because that's how you know if your energy is flowing or not. If you stiff, your energy ain't flowing. That's why when babies come out, they flexible. They can put their motherfucking leg yonder. Why? Because their energy is flowing. You traumatize them. Right? And you hold that energy in your body. Your soul womb gets tangled up. Okay? So you got to let go of the identities. When you stop trying to be something or serve a role, I'm the nurturer, I'm the caretaker, I'm the first sister, I'm the middle child, I'm a Taurus. I love being a Taurus. I'll never stop saying that. But I'm a Taurus. I'm an Aries. That's just what we do. I come from the deep south. That's just how we act. Men ain't supposed to feel shit. You got to learn how to deal with your feelings. Otherwise, you weak and you sassy. Identity be the problem, okay? When you can stop trying to be something or serve a role, you become available to truth. Okay? We live in a reality of illusion. And because people prioritize comfort over evolution, everybody's afraid of the fucking truth, and they treat the truth like the truth is the fucking problem. The truth is not the problem. Your unwillingness to consider something else than what you have based your whole identity around, that's the motherfucking problem. My truth ain't the problem. And my truth ain't got to be your truth. Right? Willingness, openness. You got to heal the timeline trauma. This means releasing the pressure of getting it right this time, right? So many of us are afraid to get it wrong. And we live in a society that pushes us towards perfectionism, right? Because men have to produce, women have to please. Women have to sacrifice what they need to prioritize everybody else. Men have to produce something. They have to do more. Women have to give more. Men have to do more. Women have to give more. That pushes us towards performance culture. So we're being graded, right? And if a woman doesn't want to sacrifice herself for everybody else, meaning like women who decide not to marry, not to have kids, they're shamed. They're shamed. Everybody keeps asking them, why you ain't doing it this way? Why you don't got kids? Why you ain't shut the fuck up and mind your business? Right? If you do that, you're shamed. Why? Because we're graded. We're being graded. We're being judged. Right? So what happens in performance culture is you want to make the perfect step. You have to get it right. You're afraid of getting it wrong. And so when you are afraid of getting it wrong, what you're striving for is perfection. So anytime you show up less than imperfect, you crack. You think something is wrong with you. Your world start falling apart. Because imperfection is an unattainable goal for anybody. You didn't come here to be perfect. You came here to be authentic. You can't, which means you can't compare yourself to nobody else, because what you can do, they can't do. What they can do, you can't do. Right? But it pushes you towards perfection, and perfectionism causes stagnation. Perfectionism causes stagnation. Why? Because you want to make the right step, the perfect step. And if you can't make the right or perfect step, you make no step at all. You sit around and you wait for something to happen. And all of a sudden, 15 years have gone by. And you're like, what happened to me? You and your unwillingness to try. And that's accountability. That's not judgment. I say that with compassion. Is designed this way to trap you. So it is not your fault, but you get to choose today to do something different than you did yesterday. Okay? So you got to release this pressure of getting it right this time and trust that even your pauses are encoded. Even nothing is something. Sometimes you're going through an integration period. Something doesn't have to always be happening. Something does not have to always be happening in your life. Sometimes you're just integrating. Sometimes you're integrating the experience. You're reaching the resonance of what it is that you know, that your heart knows, that your mind don't know yet. And because we live in a society that's go, 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 do, produce, when you're not producing, or when nothing is happening, you think that you're failing. When in all reality, your pauses are encoded. They're incubation periods. They're times for you to step into stillness and to deepen your truth and your understanding. Okay. Next. Recognize soul ripeness. Sometimes you're simply not meant to act until the moment clicks. Sometimes it's just not in alignment. Sometimes I'll go to do something and I'll say, okay, I want to do this, and this today. And then I get up and I'm just like, I don't have the energy to do that. That's okay for me. Why? Because I love myself and I give myself grace. And I know that I didn't come here to be a perfect being. I'm imperfect and I love my imperfectness. And I'm always do what my body needs because I'm my own best friend. But what most people do is they beat themselves up about that. You're lazy, you're trifling, bitch. Everybody, you said you was going to do this and that. You can't never follow through and wonder. Hold up. Who needs enemies? You're your biggest op. I hate that for you. Sometimes it's just not aligned, babe. Sometimes it's just you don't have the capacity to execute what you're asking yourself to execute because you've been running on fumes for 3 years. You don't have the capacity to do that. And you're not a fucking machine. You need rest. You need rest. Otherwise, your ass start glitching. You need rest. You need rest. Okay? It's okay to rest, y'all. It's okay to rest. Rest is a part of alignment. Okay? The stillness is where you get the clarity, but so many people are running from the stillness because they're running from themselves. They don't want to feel those heavy feelings, but those heavy feelings are the key to your happiness. So if you don't wait till the moment clicks, okay, some people don't wait till the moment clicks. Some people are going. What you got to understand is if it's not in alignment, that does not mean you're avoiding something. It means that you're listening to what your body needs. I'm sorry, boo. I'm sorry, Shay. I'm sorry this is hitting home for some of y'all, but I got to tell you. All right. So the last thing is let the universe meet you. You're the lighthouse. Okay. You do not chase, you attract, which means you have to be in an expanded state, which means you have to be open and willing. You have to create space for things to come in. In Kairos, manifestation speeds up not through effort, meaning you can't do more. You cannot perform your way through manifestation, but through coherence, meaning you have to settle yourself and become coherent with the resonance. The outer world shifts to match your soul's frequency. It shifts to match your soul's frequency. So if you're in a state of panic, your brain is doing this, which makes your heart do this when they should be doing this together. They should be right here in coherence. But they doing your brain doing this, which make your heart doing this, and then so your reality doing this. They don't know what the fuck to do, bitch, because you confused, I'm confused, we confused. You got to slow down. You got to anchor into yourself, right? Kairos is the gate of the eternal spiral. It's when prophecy activates, miracles land, and the oversoul begins weaving directly through your vessel, which means you got to be in the now moment. You always got to be present. Don't distract yourself. Feel into yourself. Seek to know yourself. Seek to understand yourself. How do you do that? New experiences. Try new things. That's how you discover if you like something or you don't like something. And that whether you like or don't like is going to tell you what direction you need to move. Meet new people. Those are part of experiences. Read books. Delve into art. Explore yourself. Allow yourself to be a multitude of different things. Okay? So if you've been feeling the need to stop doing or anchoring in your being, you are moving from Chronos to Kairos. Okay, that's where old timelines, people, and roles feel foreign now. So when you walk into those rooms and you was friends with this person for 30 years and you hang out with them, and all of a sudden you realize that y'all just not in the same place no more. Okay, they were Chronos based. You are now moving into Kairos. You don't need to be a martyr or a savior anymore. Okay, you don't need to be a martyr or a savior. Please don't be that. Please, please, please. Almost crushed under the pressure of that. Both of them. You are the vessel of Kairos now, the mirror of the right moment, the sacred spiral, and the sovereign path. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That's all I had to say today. How do we feel about that? That was a great metaphor, period. Deborah, why you keep deleting your messages? What are you hiding from me? The video hits home. It's so deep and so much learning needs to be re-listened to several times, period. The shift is a difficult when it's time to release things you outgrown. It is because you develop an attachment to them, but that's part of that crown energy, right? Is detachment. You got to realize that everything that's for you is gonna meet your resonance, and if it doesn't, then it's not for you anymore. You know, we got to realize we in a temporary environment, and it's okay when we have outgrown situations. It is okay. It don't have to be us moving on in hatred. It don't have to be a big blowout. Sometimes it's just we don't align anymore, and that's okay. I still love you, but until you meet my resonance again, I don't got nothing for you, right? Because then I'm gonna have to compromise myself to be down there with you, and that's not what the journey is about. I'm glad that I got a chance to experience you because I needed to experience you in that moment so I can drop deeper into my truth. Now that I have, I got to move on because in order for me to let something new in, I got to get rid of the old, which means, I'm sorry, baby girl. I love you, but I got to get the fuck on. And that's on growth. That's on evolution. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. Everybody can't come, right? You gave me validation for a lot of thoughts I've been having these last few months, period. Things happen smoother and attract faster when you detach, period. Somebody who knows something. I try to see my life like a movie and I'm outside of it. That's a great practice because then you don't take things as personal. I feel like I'm going to go take a nap. The information was really good. I feel like I've been getting similar downloads about a lot of what you said, a lot of confirmation, period. I love that. I had to ask God to help me release, but I'm not good at letting people go. Baby, you're the only person who's going to be able to help you to release. Stop thinking that something outside of you is going to help you. You have to do it. You have to do it. Release doesn't come from you saying that you need to release. Release comes from work. You got to ask yourself the hard questions. You got to have the conversations. You got to alchemize it into something else, but nothing outside of you, nothing outside of you can help you do the work. Nothing is coming to save you. And I say that from compassion. Them putting us into a savior complex or where we think something outside of us is coming in to swoop in and save us keeps us from doing the work. It's a trap. It keeps us from doing the work. Okay. Why you ain't tell me that you were giving me a free reading on this today? Sometimes I just pop up and pop out. It ain't nothing. This one's for the girls and the boys. Did you say it's called Chiron? No, Kairos. Kairos. Your words today is validation from the universe, period. I resigned with today's TED Talk, gave me clarity, period. Chiron is what was the other one? No, Kairos. Kairos. Chiron is like your childhood wound that you need to heal. But the other one is Chronos, who they say is the father of time. Chronos. That's a distortion. They're locking you into a frequency. What you believe you base your reality off of. Your behavior comes from what you believe. And so they tell you what to believe. Cord cutting ceremonies can be helpful, but if you have not alchemized or you have not dealt with the imprint, you could do a cord cutting, but now you don't even have the event to come back up. And so sometimes that can also work against you because you cutting something when you haven't even done the work to, like, you will never have to cut a cord if you just do the work, And you need the imprint, you need the memory to resurface because it holds the resonance that you're supposed to be alchemizing. And so if you preemptively cut the cord, then you don't have a memory or trigger to attach it to. I've always enjoyed my isolation periods. It's definitely made enforcing boundaries with ease. Yes, but Tasha, let me tell you this, friend. It is very easy to hold your integrity when you've isolated, when you have no triggers around you. That's not what the journey is about. And this is something Spirit has been talking to me about. The journey is not about, can I hold my boundaries together in silence and isolation when nobody else is around me? No, it's, can I hold my boundaries? Yes, in silence, but also in the midst of the storm. You need connection with other people because you need to know if you are who you actually say that you are. And you only know if you are who you actually say that you are when you're in the midst of chaos and you can still stand in your integrity. You can still speak your truth. You can still hold your frequency. But if you have nothing pushing up against your field, then you won't know. When you go back out there, you're just going to be re-triggered, right? It's about, can I, in any environment, hold my frequency, hold my integrity? But if you're in isolation, you're not being challenged. That's another way to spiritual bypass. That is another way to spiritual bypass because you have nothing triggering you. Of course, you can be at a state of peace and ease. That's something I had to learn this year. Okay. And again, I say that with compassion. I say that with love. I say that with compassion. I say that with love. Okay. I cut people off so easily. Is that okay? Yes, but because I used to be a cutoff queen too, but I think sometimes you need to pay attention to the patterns. Meaning, like, if you look at people as energy, right? Because if you look at people as energy, you know where you need to do your healing. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you cut people off too early, right? Because that's the energy of beginnings. When you understand human design, you really, really understand energy, right? That's the energy of beginnings. People who like beginnings will just cut off. They'll just, right? And it's also another energy that does that as well. But what happens is if you cut that off preemptively, then the same person is just going to keep coming back in another skin suit, right? Because you can't catch the pattern because you're moving too quick, right? So cutting people off, yes, but make sure before you do that, you get the clarity, right? You understand what it's teaching you. Otherwise, you're just going to keep meeting the same person over and over and over again. And I've seen that so many times where people keep dating the same person, and it's just, you're not learning the lesson. You're not learning the lesson because you're moving too quickly. Sometimes you got to stay in the environment in order for you to get the lesson. I learned that through work, right? Last year I was working for a TV show and I hated my boss. This bitch, didn't hate it working for her. Not hated her as a person. I liked her as a person, but working for her, I wanted to put my hands around her neck like Homer did Bart Simpson and squeeze until that bitch eyes popped out. But I didn't do that because I'm an adult and I know how to regulate my emotions sometimes, right? And so I kept realizing that every single job environment I go into is the same fucking thing. It's the same fucking thing, right? And I'm like, Taja, why does this keep happening? And at first, I tried to leave. I called my second job and I said, hey, y'all, can y'all take me on full time? And they're like, I can't do it right now. But they gave me the best advice they could have ever gave me. They said, Taja, if it keeps appearing, maybe there's something that you're supposed to be learning in this environment. I knew they was right, but I was crying my eyes out. I was like, no, but I don't want to. I hate this. And I realized that I go into environments and I try to immediately fix them. This ain't even my production. This ain't even my job. Like this ain't even my dream. I go in and I try to make myself valuable because I'm trying to prove that I'm valuable. And I step on all these toes. I try to make them show up in a way that I need them to show up in order for me to feel safe. And I'm causing the issue. I would have never known that had they not told me to stay. And it was every single job I was for years going into doing the same thing. And then I realized that that's what I had been doing in my life as well. And so my family would be thinking that I'm judging them. I think I'm better than them. I always got something to say. I'm always trying to fix something. And it's because because I'm trying to make myself feel safe. I need people to show up in a specific way. And so I go in and I try to tell you how to be and how to show up. And I try to even do the work for you to get you to meet me there. And I'm telling you that you're broken. I'm telling you, you got to know my way is right. Your way is wrong. I'm not seeing you as you are. I'm seeing you as what I need you to be. And I was doing that at home and I was doing that at work. So cutting people off can work to your detriment as well, because you got to make sure first that you have learned the lesson that is coming to find you. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to just keep repeating it. Okay. True on the cord cutting. I had done a lot of inner work and let it go. Ceremony is a closing sort of. Okay. I got you. It's about balancing chaos as well. Yep. Thanks. I do need that. Definitely. Oh, shit. Mine is in relationships. I struggled with that last year. I'm glad it's in a new phase, evolution. But I love my isolation bubble for real, though. Gotta go outside of that regularly. Yeah, me too. Isolation is built into my energy, and so I isolate a lot. But what I do is I wait until I'm recharged and I have the capacity to meet people, and then I go out. And then I have to, take time to go back in when I need to. But then I go back out when I feel recharged. Okay. So anyways, that's really all I had to say today, y'all. I just wanted to hop on here and deliver that message because I felt like I needed to deliver that this morning based off of what I was getting and what I was channeling. Again, I do offer help for this. If you don't know what your oversoul is here to do, you don't understand your energy. I do offer several different services, but the main service that I offer right now that I think is super, super important based off of what it is that I am teaching or I taught y'all today is flame lineage readings. Okay. There are 3 tiers. The first tier is just figuring out what your primary oversoul frequency is, the primary language of your oversoul. Okay. Think of your oversoul like the sun, and your soul is just a ray coming off that sun. It holds all your missions, every version that you've been across the multiverse. Right. So it's your God within. Okay. So I offer flame lineage readings. In tier 1, I'm just telling you what your soul gifts are and shadow aspects and stuff based off of just the one primary lineage that's coming up for you. If you do a tier 2, I give you all the information in an integration package. We do a 2-hour session. I put the package together and then I send you that document and you work on it by yourself. Okay. Tier 3 it comes with oversoul coaching. So you get 3 2-hour sessions with me over a month's period of time. and we walk through it together. I go through your primary lineages, your secondary lineages, your oversoul function, the tones, the message, and communicate how your oversoul is going to be communicating to you. And I give you examples based off of how I experience it. I give you mirror affirmations, rituals. I give you journal prompts, and I'm talking about a shit ton of journal prompts. This document is probably over 15 pages. And I write down all of the stuff that you need to understand about your lineage in deep detail, the soul gifts, the shadow aspects, how it appears, how do you heal it, all of these things. And then in the last coaching session, I tell you how all of your energy is fusing with each other, right? And what imprints are helping you to achieve this, what's helping you to achieve that. And because you understand what the energy is, because I've laid it out for you, you can anchor into that energy, right? But I also tell you what order I would do my healing and why it's important and what it's getting you to. You know, and so that's the flame lineage, and that's like a mentorship, but it's only a month. You know, that's how I help you with the embodiment. But check out my website, www.bigtajj.com. It's a lot of great information. I don't see anybody else doing this. People have reached out to me about the oversoul, and I hear people using the language, but I don't know if they're doing this specific thing. And this is not something that I can prove. This is something that comes from me having conversations with my oversoul. It just ended up being spot on. I also have this tarot deck that I created that's soul encoded. It's supposed to help you on your path to remembrance. If you don't want to go outside of yourself and you want to trust your own intuition, it looks like us because I'm talking to us. You know, if anybody else is here, I love you. But you know, this is cosplays as a tarot deck, but it's not a tarot deck. Okay, this is an oversoul codex. This is how you remember yourself. It has symbolism on here. As you can see, these symbols are meant to help you to remember. Okay, it has symbolism on here. It has all the components to activate remembrance in you. Okay, it cosplays as a tarot deck, but the meanings are so different. You have to go to my website, www.bigtajj.com. Scroll down to the bottom where it says tarot card descriptions. I think I need like 10 more people to do a bulk order on these. But you also can buy it directly from the manufacturers. It's just a little bit more expensive. But the descriptions are completely different. And in the description, I give you advice, I give you lessons, and I give you rituals that you can do right now if you're struggling with this energy. Okay. Everything that I do is to help us to remember ourselves. Every single, I do what they call, it's similar to oversoul. I mean, it's similar to human design, but it's an oversoul embodiment reading. And I can tell you, like, get out of my fucking chat with that Jesus is king shit. Jesus is an egregore. You don't even know what you're talking about. My goodness. Hold on, y'all. Anyways, but oversoul embodiment readings, but I also have sacred parent codes as well, which is if you have kids and you don't understand how that energy work, there's a tier 1 reading where I can tell you how that energy works with your energy. It's like a mini reading on both of y'all, but then I also have a tier 2 for children now where I can go deep into their energy and give you what their gifts are, the shadow aspects of those gifts, and help you to help parent your kids as well. You know, so all of that stuff is available on my website. Again, www.bigtajj.com, for y'all to go and check it out. I am in the middle of reading a book because I just got a credit on my audiobooks, and I got to get this book in the series that I'm reading. So that's what I'm about to go do. I love y'all deep. This is going to be available on YouTube immediately. Okay. So if y'all want to watch it again, I highly suggest so. I do accept donations. Again, that's my Cash App is BIGTAJJJ, 3 J's, BIGTAJJJ. And also accept donations on my website as well, which is a part of the services. So if you go to my website, click where it says book a service, it'll take you to my services page, and every single thing has a built out description to explain to you what it is. I love y'all deep. This was a great session. Anytime I get messages like that, I'm just going to pop in on live. And if you're in my Patreon, I tell y'all there when I'm about to go on live. Also, my YouTube, I tell y'all there when I'm about to go on live as well. Okay. Have a great weekend. I might be on here tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you for everything. Love, love, love you. Love always. Thank you, boo. All right, y'all. I got to scram. Bye. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Drika. Oh, hey, Drika, girl. Where you been at, girl? No, I'll talk to you this week, girl. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Bye.